searching for you. Been standing on the sidelines, waiting for the right time to start anew. I don't know where this leads, I just follow the feeling. Yeah, I'm diving right in, heading for your love. It's worth taking the risk, break the walls in between us, sending aside no second guessing. I'm so ready for love, for love, for love. I'm so ready for love, for love, for love. Ooh, 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 true connection. Ooh, ooh, I'm ready for that true connection. Your voice is drawing me in the rush of falling freely, like I got nothing to lose. I don't know where this leads, I just follow the feeling. Yeah, I'm diving right in, heading for your love. It's worth taking the risk, break the walls in between us, sending a sign of second guessing. 'Cause I'm so ready for love and new beginnings. I'm ready for, so ready to find a
Welcome, everybody, to the top 4 of Southeast Asia's 1v1 Spring Championship. Just a year ago today, we had Keith versus Vortex in the grand finals with a Petra mirror match, but I think things are going to be a little bit different here today in the current meta of things. My name is Sparky878. Welcome to the broadcast. Sitting here with me is going to be PJ. How you doing, PJ?
Doing great. It's a nice early morning here in sunny Southern California, and I'm excited to be getting into Southeast Asia action. My family's from Southeast Asia, so I've always had a personal connection with this region, and this region has been really, really fun to watch recently. I think they've been innovating as they do, and they're always kind of like their own microcosm. They're kind of like a petri dish, and you know, inject all these different things into it, and it's like separate from everything else. Every other region has its own things, but EU, NA, South America, they kind of meld together. They come to the same conclusion. Southeast Asia, though, its own thing, and that's very exciting.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind schedule today, so we're kind of going to get into this one pretty quickly here. But the interesting thing we have today is we do have Vortex here in our winners finals match. It's going to be Vortex versus Seijaru. Now, Seijaru has been placing very well, top 4 player in the Southeast Asia region for a little while now. It feels like it's been a minute since I've seen Vortex up here. If we look back at the winter championships, it was Keith in first place, Sire in second place, Plum in third, and Seijaru coming in fourth. But if we look at the seeds on the bracket today, like, we've had some serious upsets coming into this. Vortex coming into today at seed number 16. Of course, Seijaru is going to be seed 3, so no surprises that we find him here. But then on the bottom side of the bracket, in our top 6, unfortunately, they both got eliminated. But we had Elijah coming in at seed 21. He got taken out 3-0 by Keith, seed 1. And then we had Sire versus Dolan. Dolan, a very, very long-time Southeast Asia player as well, coming in at seed 17. So we've had some solid seed placements today from a lot of players who are punching way above their weight class, but I think we're going to be getting into this one. And we have, like, Vortex has been a long-time Southeast Asia player, so has Seijaru, and we're getting, like, long-time old head characters coming into this one with Hattori versus Val.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think Hattori was something that a lot of people kind of theorized was going to be pretty strong. You kind of want to have like a decent amount of dexterity to lean on, even if your defense doesn't follow. And players like Blaze has been continuously pushing the Hattori even past kind of her prime in the meta. Val, on the other hand, always kind of a pickable legend, but sometimes not the best option, especially like sometimes if you want to play gauntlets, there's other better gauntlet legends. Same can be said about Sword, but nonetheless, We're here now to start off winners finals of Southeast Asia Spring Championships 1v1s, and already starting off with a little bit of a feel-out phase here. Nice side air attempt.
Vortex going really low.
Vortex going very low with that pogo. Almost tossing into everything. Ground pound down air. Seijaru reversals, and already Vortex getting a little bit too excited with that pogo. So deep. Maybe a misinput kind of puts him in the same spot, and the down air ground pound will close out that stock.
Could be misinput, also could be like the feeling out phase of seeing what he can get away with, because like a pogo down there against a gauntlet player who is like very probably comfortable going all the way down there, hoping to reach up with a neutral air, and he's going to outrange that with the spear down air and all of a sudden get a cheeky KO here. So I actually really like going for that this early in the set. Two-piece, there's the side air, the weapon toss goes down, goes wide. Here comes the ground pound from Vortex. Weapon toss over his head, a little bit slow on that recovery, but I guess he thought he had enough time, but Sweatbeat's coming out. Vortex is not afraid to spend time over on the edge, and Seijaru goes a little bit too far, gets too big for his britches, and a simple weapon toss, and we're not back to even. There's a 60 to 70 damage between these two, but Vortex turned things around very quickly with that weapon toss.
I mean, that's just disastrous on the left side once again. Just the edge guards are just not working out for either player there. They both forfeited stock in an attempt to edge guard on the left side of the stage. We'll see Vortex was in dash jumps in, trying to close distance. Side stick coming out from Seijaru, going for the aerial version to find a spike, punishing Vortex going off stage. And once again, the dance of the swords, the ballerina routine that comes through. It's just a lot of movement, trying to find your option. That'll be an end light there, and that's going to be a weapon toss into the ground. Seijaru unfortunately disarms himself, but picks up a weapon, and Vortex throws his weapon away in the process. End light there for Seijaru, and trying to close in the distance and find a KO. The end sig will not connect, and Vortex with a very wishful thinking ground pound now in Seijaru, and one more edgeguard opportunity and a chance with the GC end sig to close out that stock. He sends Vortex to the higher upper 45, and Seijaru with a lead.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Seijaru is warmed up a little bit over on the edge. That great neutral signature is the D-Light down air. Too far on that angle to get the recovery right after. The weapon toss going to give him some room. There's a falling side air from Vortex. Goes over with the down air, the GC side light from Seijaru. The D-Sig, Vortex was behind him. There's the in-light. See if he can wrap up this stock here. He's without a weapon as he threw that sword off stage. Here comes the spear. Is he just going to go with an on-stage ground pound? What's he looking for?
I mean, you got to start going for kind of those riskier options, or maybe just a side stick punishing a side light. Great coverage there and great realization that that side stick is going to have just enough vertical to punish that side light when it sends you up in the air. Seijaru now looking to pick up a weapon. It'll be a sword as the answer. Sire comes in there, and Vortex with an end light. Seijaru in a bad spot now. No foul side stick on the side of Hattori though to put out a spiking hitbox horizontal and down. End light again. No dodge from Seijaru, and a ground pound comes in. Vortex with a down air as well, and Seijaru in a bad spot. Another ground pound meets Seijaru's head, and the weapon toss up gives him a little bit of a reprieve as that side stick gets him some space back on the stage. But Vortex right now is pushing forward and holding this advantage. The end light sends Seijaru off stage once again, and he cannot play the game. End light disarms Seijaru in a bad spot, having to go over to the wall, the spear in hand, swapping back over the sword, and Vortex is now looking to close out this stock as Seijaru has no answers to the sword.
Yeah, Vortex is playing really good sword fundamentals here. You know, the back up feint forward, move back in light, maybe the side light off the stage, but he's mostly staying on that corner. He's mostly playing on that punish game, waiting for Seijaru to throw out a move, then he comes in maybe a GC D-light. This time it's a regular D-light into the recovery, KO off the top. Vortex really wrapped that one up on the last stock. When he got Seijaru's first stock, he was behind like 60 to 70 damage. Then on second stock, he was behind like 30 or so damage. Then finally, towards the end, he really took him apart. That sword gameplay really leveled up. It really warmed up, excuse me, and got to that point where he just feels really comfortable.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree. I think that's kind of what Vortex kind of concluded to, especially as Seijaru was like, oh, you know, kind of winning that off stage bout, and Vortex was like, you know what, I'm going to keep myself on stage and continue to play that sword game and have a really solid understanding of, okay, I can keep him here. Seijaru obviously wants those trickier plays, especially with gauntlets, and he's able to kind of zone that out with that sword, and that's exactly what you're leaning for. A very consistent, a very strong weapon that you're able to just snowball with constant wins in that neutral state. And well, we'll go into game number 2 here, back on Small World's End. No platforms to assist, and Vortex will be the first one to pick up a weapon in the sword. Going to try to weapon starve. Seijaru will slip through, find a gauntlet, and Vortex will lose his sword in the process. We see the Pogos coming in right now, the downer coming in, Vortex as well. GC D-Light, a recovery comes in from Vortex, trying to get out of that tricky situation. But so far, Seijaru has had unanswered damage here. Sidelight comes in there. Seijaru getting ushered off stage nice and easy. Another sidelight from Seijaru, but no nair after the fact. And Vortex now closing in this space as much as he can. Goes forward with a sidelight there as well. And a nair comes in, nice swift punish, tries to go for the double D-Light, unable to find the timing for it, but a down air punishes Seijaru nonetheless. A D-Light into recovery, into a nair. Now the juggle continues for Seijaru, and we see a spear from Vortex, sidelight wait. Just waiting out these options, trying to find Seijaru panicking. A Pogo will come in. Seijaru now on the wall, trying to make it back up to the stage. 2 exclamation points. A Sire will give him some space. And light as well. Weapon toss. GC D-Light into the recovery. Unarmed, not enough to KO, but Vortex slowly inching forward to continue this momentum. That ground pound, ill-advised, a little chase dodge trickery there from Seijaru, but no extension off the D-Light. A recovery comes in. Vortex now trying to really find a way to close out the stock. The N-Light will come in, and we see another weapon, a kind of tricky weapon toss there. Seijaru won't lose his weapon in the process this time, though. Sire from the wall. Now Seijaru really closing in the distance of this damage. Anyone's first stock, and Vortex will be the first one to claim it as the Sire comes in and closes out that stock.
Continuing to focus back on this sword. There's been a little bit of spear gameplay. I think Vortex went for that cheeky kind of bounce pass weapon toss to himself, hoping to pick up a D-Light right there in the middle is the meat of the sandwich. Ends up going over onto the edge, eats a down air from the sword of Seijaru. He's going to focus now back on this sword, see if he can find a way in on it. Maybe focus on that punish game a little bit more. There's a side light. Vortex forced over onto the edge. Seijaru's not going to chase over. There's the neutral air. No recovery back after. Wants to go back to the main platform. Both of them, the dueling D-Lights right in the middle of the stage. GCing them, but Vortex is going to win out. There's the in-light. Went for the feint, but Vortex stayed in the air, so the side stick didn't miss. Goes under the stage, avoids the ground pound.
And that was very ill advice from Seijaru, as Vortex had so much horizontal options, and now Seijaru will eat a ground pound and a down air for it. Not enough to KO, obviously, but a D-Light down air continues to grow this lead for Vortex. Nice signature there for Vortex, as he's now looking to close out this stock any means necessary. Cannot find it there with that weapon toss into GC D-Light, and now Seijaru with a very low side air. Costs him some time. Vortex makes it back to the stage. Again, a D-Light comes in there, no conversion. GC D-Light into recovery, and Seijaru and Vortex have been throwing out these very laggy moves off stage, ones that really could not hit even if your opponent fell into it. I mean, it's just going for the one option that covers one option with a KO. Everything else, it kind of costs you some space, and Vortex will capitalize in a big way. Seijaru now with some gauntlets in hand, and I'm not sure if we've really seen any gauntlet play that has amounted to anything besides Gimps. I haven't really seen any, you know, consistent KO options. Now you're looking for a recovery here, of course, on the gauntlets. Maybe an N-Light as a damage builds. D-Light into recovery. Unarmed will be the answer. Seijaru now has a weapon starve on Vortex. We'll see how Vortex responds.
Now, I believe Vortex's next weapon is going to be the spear. He wasn't able to pick up that one. Yeah, there it is, before he got knocked out, meaning that he would be picking up a sword at this point. So let's say, okay, there's the D-Light into the side air. Trying to read the side air down on the main stage. There's another side air that comes out. Looking with these neutral lights, these really quick, safe neutral lights. Gets caught with a neutral air, but Seijaru, both of them have been focusing mostly on the corner. Now, there's been a little bit of offstage as the set has gone on, much less compared to the very beginning of the game. The side light into the recovery, looking for the juggle. Great spot dodge to get through the weapon toss and the in-light and the side sig, and Seijaru wraps this one up. All of a sudden, you mentioned that we hadn't seen too much gauntlet play coming out from him whatsoever so far this game. His neutral was really lacking. He wasn't able to whiff punish with more than anything than just like a neutral air, maybe an in-light here and there. But there, especially towards the end, did a fantastic job.
I think something to note is that a lot of the margins of advantage state for both of these players is kind of forcing their opponent in the corner and trying to make something happen with that. A lot of the times their opponents are getting forced to land into the corner, and we saw Vortex kind of take over game number 1 with a similar idea on the right side of the stage, where he's just controlling that space with end lights and side lights and D lights. Seijaru with a similar thing, but using that Vow signature kit, that side sig on the gauntlets being such a active moving hitbox. It scoops you, it does so much knockback into the weapon toss, and that's exactly what I think is the name of the game for both of these players, is kind of controlling that space on stage and keeping your opponent off stage. And I feel like these edge guards, although they do work, they are quite risky, and the more consistent option now, and I think we'll see the players lean into it, is holding that center stage control. A ground pound comes in now as Seijaru tries to make it back to the stage. The signature comes in. An aerial side sig does not spike. That's a tricky interaction. The side air comes out as Vortex now looks to close out the stock on Seijaru. D-Light into side air once again, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Keep your opponent in the corner and do not let them play. Snuff out the air of their chances to make it back to the stage, and a GC N-Light will be all he needs, and Vortex catches Seijaru in his Vortex and closes out that stock.
Yeah, Vortex is like feint forward, move back with punish, as Seijaru comes right over the corner with the D-Lights. It's so good. The D-Light punish game, Seijaru's just been solid, but Vortex's has just been so much better. Falling side air happens to go the wrong way, side lights the wrong way. He's trying to force Seijaru over onto that wall so he can have that corner control, just barely missing the D-Light. All of these whiffs that are coming out from Vortex, yes, he's missing, but Seijaru is not finding any hits on them whatsoever. Now he's just not attacking because he doesn't want to miss. He whiffs that in-light, out comes the in-light from Seijaru, but again, nothing afterward. There's the side light. He's just a little bit short with the range on that. Vortex is using the high movement speed that Hattori brings to the table. There's the weapon toss into the unarmed. Doesn't get the regrab this time. There is a spear on the stage. He's going to grab that. He may just take the L first. Before that, okay, there's the side light. Turn around, jump nair.
And Seijaru now, once again, just not capitalizing on these corner situations, but doing a little bit too much in the movement or the buttons here, and he's not finding a way to close out this stock easily. GC side light comes in, Vortex without a weapon. His spear will get forfeited away. A nice unarmed side air, and the downer as well, punishing the GC startup. The recovery does come through center stage, not enough to KO, and a recovery comes in from Vortex. And right now, Vortex is completely running away with the game. Seijaru has many opportunities to capitalize in a corner situation, but Vortex has given him nothing, and you'll see it's very, very hard to find this stock now. Pogo's coming in now and looking for this KO option. The recovery will come through, and not enough to KO. Seijaru is trying his best to find a KO, but just cannot do it. Vortex holding on to this stock. Sidelight comes in. D-Light side air will finally close out that stock, but Seijaru now one hit away from losing that stock because of the fact that he's unable to capitalize on these corner situations, cannot find these KOs, cannot find the edge guards, and Vortex now has a very comfortable lead in stock 2.
Just a falling side air right behind. Even dashes off stage for the D-Light. Again, Vortex backing up before chasing forward with a dash jump side air. Another dash jump side air over towards the edge. There's the in-light. Can Seijaru capitalize? Okay, a little bit of a feint back. He's doing what Vortex was doing previously. There's the weapon toss. He trades it out, holds on to this sword. Was facing the wrong direction, so he couldn't find like a side sig to the left side or anything like that. Seijaru, if he can maintain aeriability, if he can stay in the air so he doesn't get caught by these D-Lights, or at least forces Vortex to go for the GC D-Light. Oh, just a little bit too far away. Uses the range of the GC D-Light from his gauntlets, but he gets punished right after that. The recovery's going to KO off the top. Vortex, he seems to have complete control of this game so far. Seijaru had some solid damage on the second stock, but Vortex is really in control. He's really in the driver's seat.
I think that's really showing that Vortex was like, he didn't panic when he got hit by the combo starter. He was like, I'm just going to GC and punish you for it. I think that shows the fact that Seijaru really hasn't forced Vortex to be scared of anything. Like versus another gauntlet player, they get away with a lot of whiffs like that in punish because you're just so worried where you're burning dodges and you're just trying to get out of dodge. Speaking of which, though, that side sig will put that stock out of dodge. I don't think that's how the expression works, but nonetheless, Seijaru will do it anyway. A side sig comes in, the aerial version will spike, and that'll KO very early. And Seijaru now back in this game. Down sig comes in into the immediate recovery, and a sword online as Vortex without a weapon, and Seijaru now flipping the script here. Vortex has to come back here. He had a bit of a damage lead, but now is no longer slightly a deficit now. Sire's coming in, and the damage so close between these legends, and the stat line very similar as well. D-Light into recovery comes in. Sejaru really coming into his own in this part of the game. Sire comes in now. The downer coming in. GC Ensig comes in. Vortex with a ground pound, but does not find the other one. The weapon toss will throw his weapon away, and then Light comes in, and Sejaru now with an edge guard recovery comes in. Vortex unarmed spear online now. As another spear gets tossed, we definitely want a sword here. Unarmed sidelight will keep Sejaru away, and Sejaru now looking for his big open up, looking for that D-Light. Will whiff punish with the sidelight is Vortex, and Vortex and Sejaru both know what they want. D-Light comes in, sidelight, D-Light, side air closes it out, and Sejaru comes back after being completely nullified in the first stock. He makes it happen, and he takes that game.
And he takes it by basically doing what Vortex was doing to him previously. That time, Vortex committed with a move. He committed with that GC D-Light, and then out came the whiff punish from Sejaru, who's able to turn that pressure into the D-Light side air for the KO on the left side as well. So he got the initial hit, made Vortex a little bit scared, something you pointed out he hasn't been able to do like whatsoever throughout this entire set, and then found the KO option that he needed. He turned that pressure into something more, and found the KO, and now he's forcing Vortex over onto a Mordex pick, so a complete swap off of this Hattori onto completely different weapons, completely different legend. I think that's a Herculean effort coming out from Sejaru, staying in this one and ultimately coming out on top in that last game.
Definitely have to agree with that, and we'll see this swap here, and it's a kind of a big difference. I feel like swapping off of Hattori into a Mordex pick, and right now not really working out there, but it looks like he gets a pair of gauntlets and he tries to reversal the situation. Nair into down air, Vortex getting it started here, and it's all about forcing fear at the end of the day on gauntlets as well, and we need to see Vortex start to really cash in on these mistakes from Sejaru. Nair coming in, gets immediately punished by an Endlight though, so we don't really get much. A recovery comes in as well, and Sejaru keeping Vortex in the air. He'll pick up another Scythe, but the Scythe really hasn't done much besides a couple down airs here and there. Nair coming in. That's the dead zone hitbox, so it doesn't come out, and punishes Vortex. Vortex will hit Sejaru off stage, and this is a bad spot to be in versus a Mordex, but Vortex hasn't really done all too much with the D-Light into recovery, and Sejaru is back on top.
He's playing so confidently now. Everything has changed. This sword looks like a completely different sword player. He's playing so much more like Vortex was playing previously. With all the pressure he's creating, you're seeing a lot of these GCD lights come out. Some of them are hitting, some of them are missing, but he's not getting punished for them. He seems just really confident in everything he's doing. He's going to eat a ground pound, so Vortex is going to even the game up completely in this moment. He's going to swap out those weapons, hold onto this Scythe, deny the weapon from Sejaru. Sejaru just barely getting away from that. There's the unarmed down air over on the edge. Vortex continuing the pressure. Here comes the sword, sidelight into the neutral light. Vortex playing low on that wall over the edge. Sejaru being very careful. He's gonna rip it down Sig like that, hoping Vortex just maybe peeks over the corner and maybe falls into it, but he doesn't.
Yeah, and with that now, I mean, he's just trying his best here. I mean, they both are to get this damage racked up and also find ways to potentially close
that right there.
D-Light side air is crazy.
He's playing so much more confidently now. There's the ground pound. We did see one exclamation point come out. He side stakes to get back on the main stage. There's a D-Light over on the corner. Vortex, he's really trying to control this corner as best as he can. There's the side air as well. Can he go for the recovery? Is he going to punish the landing? He went for, I believe, an in-light to punish that landing. There's the side light into the neutral air, into the side air. Weapon toss goes a little bit high. Sejaru again with a really low GC D-Light. Doesn't quite have the range.
Moving forward, and that's a nice signature from Vortex. It's not enough to KO though. That's unfortunate as it sends upwards, and we're going, speaking of sending upwards, GC side tick into the wall, trying to cover that very vertical right above the wall action. D-Light in decided will close out that stock though. Sejaru now 2 stocks to 1 and looking to close in on Vortex here. Potentially close out this, go into grand finals, but Vortex won't make it look easy. A Haymaker comes in, the Hail Mary option, the last ditch effort to keep yourself alive and force this game number 5. And like side
how long Vortex can keep Sejaru off the weapon. Picks up that sword very quickly. There's the side light. Goes for the delayed in light rather than the one right after that first side light. Another side light. Now turn around D-Light. Just really solid sword fundamentals here. Changing up his timings, changing up his directions. Just another ground pound for Vortex, setting up the potential edge guard. Sejaru gets back quickly.
Weapon toss coming out as there as well, and now the gauntlet's online now. Sejaru looks for that side light there, trying to force Vortex to a bad spot. Vortex takes the bait. Sejaru, can you capitalize on it? No, he does not. And Ensig comes in, but Vortex too far away. He giving a lot of respect in the corner there, not able to punish that Ensig. And Vortex now slowly trying to work his way into this. D-Light into recovery will not be enough to KO, but it will indeed disarm. A recovery coming in, just letting it rip. No D-Light to follow up. Vortex now looking to find something on the wall, but a D-Light sider will close it out, and Sejaru moves forward in a 3-1 into grand finals.
holding on to the seed discrepancy between these two players, seed 3 into seed 16, but Seijaru comes out on top. It was looking a little bit rough for him in the very beginning. Like, Vortex was clearly the better sword player for like basically half, if not 2/3 of that set, the way it felt like coming out from his Hattori. But after that, the second to last game, and then in the final game especially, the sword really leveled up from Seijaru. He really took control of things. Vortex had a solid scythe, and he was doing a really good job of like evening things up. Seijaru would take the lead, but then Vortex would come back and even things up very quickly. He would do it unarmed. With that unarmed side heavy, he would do it with strong edge guards. He was using the scythe ground pound very well, but it seems like his gauntlets really never took that much control of the game compared to some of the other weapons. It was sort of a similar thing when he was playing Hattori, where the sword was the shining star, and then on the Mordex, the scythe was the shining star. But on Hattori, the spear was lacking just a little bit, and then on the Mordex, the gauntlets were the one that were lacking just a little bit. Meanwhile, Seijaru, really, especially at the end, his sword really leveled up for sure, and his gauntlets were finding so much more than they were in the very beginning stages of that set.
Yeah, definitely have to agree with that. And I feel like it's just kind of like the way that a matchup like that will boil down, where like one weapon will definitely come out. And I feel like that was just like good old-fashioned, just like Brawlhalla, like very, very
100%,
neutral.
100%.
Like it's like not anything like too crazy. There's no like insane insane edgeguard plays or anything like extended off stage. It just looks like they were willing to play the game, and it's like, just the old-fashioned Brawlhalla of years past. And you see it in the legend picks, and you saw it in the game plan. Didn't really feel like anything too crazy, not that high APM like crazy action we're used to seeing, and that could just be the way that Southeast Asia has boiled down to in this bracket.
Yeah, if you definitely took like sword gameplay from maybe 6 years ago and you put it like side by side with the sword gameplay here, it wouldn't look exactly the same. It would look similar. You would see the inspirations 100%. You would see like what people are drawing from, and it would look like it's today's gameplay, but just like turned down maybe to 60% or 70% of what we saw today. But overall, the ideas, the general idea, especially with sword, like think about how much sword has changed over the years. Like it's sped up. People do more than they used to with the weapon, but overall it's like the same ideas. It's more of like you're changing the shade. It's just a different color of red. It's still red, but it's just a different color of red.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to try to segue that into introducing this next match, but I can't think of anything. But I will say we have seed number 1 and seed number 2 in the elimination side semifinals, Keith and Sire, a matchup we see many times in grand finals. And this matchup, one that we see often, but a different shade, as this is in the elimination side, which means the stakes are higher and are going to be much more scary, because one of the first or second place seeded players are going to be bowing out at 4th place.
Yeah, I'm very curious what their legend picks are going to be. If we are looking at a winter championship just a few months ago, that was Keith versus Sire in the grand finals, just like you mentioned. And we had Mega Man versus some Zol and some Taros. We also had a Wushang. We also had a Thor coming out from Keith. It looks like he's going to be leading with the Thor here, as we can see. I know you're going to be excited for that one, PJ.
Yeah, I remember like commentating a lot of those like NSIG tournaments and the like dead of the night for me, and then Keith is like I would always type like in chat like, hey, play Thor, and then now Keith just has a really good Thor. I mean, I remember the first time I saw it, I think he was level like 8 on the Thor. He had no drip, he had no sauce, he didn't know how to do anything. Now, like literally one tournament after, he's level 20, he's hitting D-Light NSIG on Hammer, he's doing like Thor things, and then it slowly advanced into this very, very strong pick. And I think Thor is in a great spot. Obviously not like as good as he's ever been. He's obviously been like hyper overpowered, but at this point I think he's pretty solid. He has like a decent dexterity. It does feel a little bit bad. His dexterity is kind of on the lower side in terms of like all of the dexterity in the game, and you get disarmed kind of earlier, but with 4 dex, it might be worth to take dex stance so that you're kind of holding on to the hammer and orb, because I feel like Thor is one of those legends that wants to like stick on one weapon throughout a stock and really condition, and then use those signatures to cash in reads. And when you're getting disarmed and having to swap between hammer and orb, it becomes difficult. And yeah, this is a long rant about Thor. I'm sure everyone's like, dude, let's start the game. It's not on me. They're just swapping around here. Sire's going to be locking in the Roman Reigns, it looks like.
So Keith is one of those players who has like the rare accolade of having won every seasonal championship. He just hasn't done it all in the same year. Last year he won spring, he won summer, and he won autumn. but he got 3rd place in Winter Championship of last year, so he doesn't have every single seasonal championship in a single year, but this year he won Winters. So technically he has won all 4, but they've been throughout the 2025 and 2026 competitive season. So I think hopefully he really has his sights set this year on winning all 4 of them in a single calendar year. I mentioned he won the Winter Championship already, so he started off really strong. He's won the last 4 seasonals in a row. See if he can bring that momentum into this one. You mentioned the low dexterity. He is going into dex stance, like you said. He's going to have that higher defense, so he's going to help a little bit with that. He's coming with mid dex, coming in at 5. The higher defense is going to help lower the damage just a little bit that he takes, but then on the other side, you have Sire coming in with the Roman Reigns, also in the dex stance, by the way.
Yeah.
So he's going to have that like higher strength, higher hitting attacks coming out from the Roman Reigns pick from Sire. The defense is going to counteract that just a little bit, and then he's also opting into dex stance.
Yeah, I think on the other hand of it, where Roman Reigns is a legend that's very good at swapping between the 2 weapons, the 2 weapons condition very, very well, and we'll see if Sire is going to that's going to come back to bite him if we see some like very small margin things not KOing because of the fact that he's not in strength. We'll have to see here. Recovery to start off here, and Keith starting off with the stop sign with the hammer here, looking to get some damage going here, and end light into a side sig. That's an early check that you can do with Thor signatures. It's kind of like calling out the lack of options or like not immediately jumping, for example. We could see that getting weaved in with a down sig kind of soon here. Nice pick up there with a recovery, and Keith slowly keeping the damage close. Sire on the other hand of things though, on the axe, a very good weapon at punishing Keith's very aerial playstyle on this hammer so far.
Yeah, you saw the first segment of that. Keith dodged right back in, so he got through the side air of Sire's axe. But then after that, the weapon toss. He's going to finish him off here. And even goes out with the unarmed side air. Huge stock from Sire, but right before that you already saw a quick adaptation coming out from Sire. He expected that dodge in again, but then he timed it up. He waited with a spot dodge of his own and then came out with a move he didn't actually hit, so he chose the wrong move in that moment. That was just a random guess that he had to go for, but still you're seeing adaptation already coming in very early on from this. Things are going to be evened up. There's the in light into the side light, goes for the D-sig, but Keith was still in the air. Stomp into the neutral air, side air as well on the ground, goes for the jump side air reboot. Stays grounded.
Yeah, and we see Sire now being comfortable throwing out these signatures. He throws his hammer away, trying to lean into the axe to find a KO. I definitely think the hammer is a little bit more consistent into orb, but we'll see Sire's attempt. Now, yeah, okay, we're going to swap over to the hammer. Keith also trying to swap off that orb in general, looking to pick up a hammer here. D-light, side light, Sire racking up this damage, and now anything will KO. That good down air will. And Sire looking very, very confident here with this 2-stock to 1 lead. With a hammer online now, he can definitely easily snowball this into a very, very big lead. You see a nice 3-piece there. Keith with a down air. Keith looking to continue that edge guard with a recovery and light there. Keith looking to pick up a weapon here. Side light, keep him off stage. Swapping over to a hammer now as Sire gets punished for that side light with a side air, and another side air comes in from Keith. That one won't connect. Sire with a side air of his own though, looking to close out that game with a recovery or a D-light, but Keith will be the one to close out that stock with a D-light into side air. And we go to last stock here, and Keith heavily leaning into the hammer here, just wanting to make sure that he can contend with this Taros and this long range that Taros can present with either of his weapons.
Now, Keith is really starting to bring the tempo up, but before that, I was loving the tempo coming out from Sire, expecting Sire to dodge in with that D-light. There's the GC side light as well. It's going to be a burn dodge. Keith doesn't find anything off of it. Sire's able to land. Keith is able to land. There's the stomp into the side air, sending over onto the edge. The weapon toss a little bit off the mark, but he's going to have weapon control. I was loving the tempo with Sire's weapon control earlier. Oh, another recovery coming out from Keith, almost finding the mark on that. Sire's still going to have weapon control here. Goes for the D-light. Keith is in the air on the left side of him. It's Hammer v. Hammer who's going to get the first stomp. Now, Sire's not perfectly in KO damage yet, so it's going to take something big from Keith if he wants to find that KO here. Or he's going to be careful, but he's just going to eat a side air, jump side air over onto the left side, coming out from Sire, and he gets the KO.
Yeah, it's a great pickup there from Sire to get that dash jump side air and realize where Keith was kind of finding his comfort in the neutral, where Keith would kind of use that movement and then end up in the corner and then fight out of the corner. Those dash jump side airs are very important for kind of limiting those options to run away from a hammer, and I think that's something that you have to now worry about with Keith. Is like, I can't jump in the corner, I can't find a lot of comfortability in the corner because Sire's willing to let those rip. We'll see the Thor continue to play out here. I know he said, "Oh, the Thor's for you, PJ," but I want you to win too. So let's see what if this Thor pick will continue to work out here. Thor versus Roman Reigns. The hammer has been what Keith has leaned into very heavily. Sire weaving in the axe to punish the aerial playstyle of the hammer. I think Keith has adapted pretty well at not taking so much axe damage, and we'll see if that can play a difference here, because once you adapt but you've already taken the damage, it's a little bit too late, especially versus Taros. But right now Sire winning out this hammer mirror with some nice side lights and anti-airs. D-light into Cider. Keith getting sent in a bad spot, rising with a Cider off the wall. Side light into D-light. D-light doesn't connect and already disarmed, and we have an orb online now, GC end light, and that's going to be a nice 3 three-piece.
Be online for long, dude.
Closes out that stock, a one whiffed end light, and Keith cannot get anything going on the store pick.
I was about to say, like, oh, here comes our first point of damage from the orb. We didn't see a single point of damage last game, and we might not see it this game either after that stock from that whiffed end light. That was huge, the recovery. There's the dodge through coming out from Keith. Is he going to be able to land? He lands, like, right in front of Sire, but then dash jumps away right away from him. It's just a stomp fest. Keith's going to find the first one. Even goes with the stomp off stage. There's a side air, sending to the right, sending to the left, and the ground pound, sending down to the bottom. Coast to coast, from the east coast to the west coast, then down to the Gulf Coast in the south, baby.
Yeah, I mean, that, to me, that's very, very, like, intrusive thought hammer player. I think every hammer player hits that ground pound there, but it's so good when that side air just barely misses the stage and you get sent solo, that ground pound comes in and meets you no matter if you wanted it or not. Obviously not for Sire, and, like, comes in now, and Sire having to throw the axe away. It looks like both players kind of leaning heavily into this hammer. Keith sending him off stage with the D-Light into recovery. Sire in a pretty bad spot. Ground pound will come in. Sire with no punish. He'll look to kind of hover and look for a GC. D-Light does not get it there. We'll get an unarmed recovery, though, for Keith's mistake off stage. Downer coming in, Nsig, D-Light waiting. Sire continuously trying to find an option to get this maybe early stock here as Sire tries to make something happen with a recovery, but a side sig comes in, and that Thor side sig doing the same as many other signatures that are so good at scooping and scoring. That one a little bit more temperamental than others, but still finding that stock, and Sire now looking to try to close in this lead with his axe.
That was a relative early stock as well, that side stick. It gives you that movement before it does that big force stuff, so you can find those KOs in the later stages of orange, early stages of red, to find them super early. Even Keith going off stage with the down air, like, he's ready to push this even though he's at 150 plus damage.
Nice jump over the D-Light there. Keith looking for that recovery, almost finding it there. Sire throws his weapon. Keith hits Sire with that weapon as well, punishing that weapon toss. And without a weapon now, Sire will have to make something happen with an axe. Beggars can't be choosers, but the end light will be a great option there. Anybody would definitely want to hit one of those when you're trying to kill an opponent.
I can't believe he's able to land on that at the weapon disadvantage. His diagonal up to the left dodge. He's able to get back in, and there's the down air to get the KO off the top. Sire now over 100 damage. He's going to sit on this hammer. It's been the hammer story for both of these players so far, just barely missing the D-Light. Sire is not able to punish these whiff D-Lights coming out from Keith whatsoever. He just has so much aura. It's so scary.
Oh, look at that. Synchronization for two moves in a row. Both D-Lighting, both down airing at the exact same frame, but neither of them can punish D-Light there. And Sire gets a little bit too big for his britches there. Tries to go for an extension on that D-Light pickup there, and then Keith will just punish with an unarmed recovery. And that's going to be Keith taking game number 2. We go to game 3 with a score even.
And we do finally see our first points of damage on that orb going out. 14 points of damage that entire game. One single move. Meanwhile, everything is hammer dominated coming out from Keith. He's showing so much confidence with the hammer. The D-Lights into the side lights right after on lower damage. His ability to maneuver around and avoid the D-Lights from Sire. Meanwhile, Sire's having to, like, split the damage between the two weapons, and it's 240 on the hammer compared to 119 on the axe. I think those numbers are going to be lower than they were in the first game. We're going to run this one back. Same legends. Are we going to Demon Island? Yes, we are. You can see it on the bar on the top.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that Keith did more damage on his hammer than Sire did with axe and hammer combined. So that was clearly like a Keith win there. Even with the orb being like 4 times negative in terms of the damage deficit, he's still able to make it happen with just the hammer. And Keith will open up here with the orb early damage. I think this is where Thor definitely wants to like cash in his orb, is like early on, where you can kind of start getting these like early damage conversions where orb gets a lot of strings. After the fact, though, I definitely see Keith swapping over to hammer soon, and he'll do so here with that weapon toss. Sire looking for that scoop, and Sire has swung for the fences quite a bit in this stock. He's kept the damage somewhat close, but these whiffs are finally punishing Keith, using that side stick as a bit of a movement option and forcing Sire on a low recovery. D-Light trying to cover the dodge in with the sweat beads, does not find it. Side air comes in, and Keith now looking to avoid D-Light into side air. Will disarm. Close in that stock. The Nair does come in. Another Nair swinging for the fences, cannot find it there. An end light for Sire breaks the mold, and Keith now with the D-Light side air sending very low, and a ground pound could come in. No, just a weapon toss into a weapon toss, and Keith closes out that stock.
And that was after that, like, pretty early disarm. He was around 130 damage by the time that disarm came through from Keith's hammer onto Sire. And then he was just able to snowball that into the lead, into the KO, into that first stock. Again, getting away from that same neutral signature that Sire keeps throwing out on the corner. He has had no luck with those signatures whatsoever today. Meanwhile, Keith has either had lack of negative success, meaning he's thrown them out and not gotten punished for them, or he's actually hit them like that side stick that we saw hit last game over on the left side, getting the KO in orange. Sire now coming in with the axe, great spot dodge. Okay. First D-Sig whiffs, goes for the GCD sig over on the left side. I thought he was really going to get punished for that.
You see this now where Keith without a weapon and Sire with an axe online. I mean, showing that last stock, very willing to throw out these signatures on the side of the terrace. We saw Hammer side sig be the first signature of the game, and that's going to be a classic Thor pick up there. The end sig will come in, and you jump because you expect the high recovery, and I feel like Keith conditioned that a little bit with all those side sigs on the Hammer, where it's like, okay, I can't go for like a horizontal recovery. The end sig will meet you at that 45-degree up angle. Sire now with an end light there. Keith with the orb online. The orb has done much more in this game, finding a KO and finding some nice damage. Sidelight Cider will just cash in the damage, not going for any extension there. Nair comes in. Endlight punishes Sire, whiffing his Endlight. Sidelight, D-Light, that's good for Sire. Love to see that damage coming in for the axe, but you kind of need to start making something happen. I think the weapon to do so is the Hammer. I think Sire thinking the same, already swapping over to a Hammer. Keep keeping this orb online.
So many times we've seen Sire guess the wrong direction and Keith is just behind him and he finds a punish. That has happened so many times throughout that set. There's one where at least he doesn't get punished. That time the D-Light over to the left side, Keith is behind him. Over on the right, there's a side light into the Cider. Now back over onto the Hammer. Stomp. Goes for the in-sig. He catches him right back into it. Gets the KO off the top. Complete domination coming out from Keith the Poo-Poo.
Yeah, a funny kind of like misinput. Not a misinput, but a misexecution. You can hit D-Light into N-Sig true, but there it somehow just still works. Task failed successfully somewhat. The N-Sig comes in and Sire kind of just lands into it anyway. And we see Thor's signatures coming in a big way in that game. 5 count, 40% accuracy. So that's definitely very successful. And 2 of which led into KOs. We had an Orb N-Sig and a Hammer N-Sig closing out those stocks. And now that just adds to the mental stack of having to deal with signatures now versus Thor, which I feel like can kind of tilt you, because they're like not the greatest signatures. They're pretty good at what they do, but it's like getting hit by those is kind of like the culmination of you getting conditioned to fall into these spots that they'll want to, and that could mean anything. That could mean getting hit with more D-Lights, more side lights on Hammer. There's a lot you have to worry about, and we go into this game with a low-key pick and hopefully a chance with the brother of Thor here to try to close out this game and force a game 5.
Also, an additional thing putting on the mental stack is the 244 damage that he did on the orb compared to the only 203 on Hammer. So not only do you have to deal with the signatures, but you also have to deal with the complete other weapons. So you can't just force him on Hammer regardless. It doesn't matter what weapon he's on. He's going to seemingly dominate Sire here. Now picks up the weapon, hits the side air. The weapon toss goes over the stage. Almost grabbed that D-Light on the weapon grab. Sire, okay, finding his way in. There's the 3-piece. Goes back to the ground, doesn't immediately go for the recovery read.
Sidelight there. We'll check a little bit more damage. Sidelight, D-Light coming in there. And that's going to be a big pickup where the GC Sidelight into recovery. It won't KO. Keith will make it back. Barely, no, he doesn't. As that bear comes in, Sire gives him a chase dodge, but it's not enough to recover. And that was a crazy interaction off stage. I don't know why he drifted that far.
Like, even though Keith found the hit, it wasn't enough to get back. So that was, like, relatively, I guess, safe to hit because, like, the Hammer recovery isn't going to hit you there. The only reversal move that could maybe lead to something bad for you. But still, what's even the point? Why do you even go for that in that moment? Maybe he's trying to add in that mental damage saying, yep, here's the legend swap. I'm ready. I'll even go throw this down heavy off stage. I'll breakdance right in front of you. You get the hit and it doesn't matter to me. That's how confident I'm feeling right now. But I don't know, maybe take a game before you start doing that stuff. The multiple D-Lights into the recovery. And the grab with the D-Sig.
It's like a different variation of that Queen Knight Spear down sig. It's just a very big jump up projectile, and that'll lead into Keith losing that stock. And Sire with almost a 0 to KO here, and that's going to be a half pipe. Put your helmet on. Keith has one on. Doesn't even matter. You take so much damage. Sidelight coming in there. Or sorry, side air landing with that unarmed, and Keith cannot pick up a weapon here. We'll swap over to an Orb now. Orb, I think, does a decent job at dealing with guitars because you can play around that kind of 45-degree angle with down air. Sire now will try to close into distance again. Very similar to Queen Knight down sig from Sire. It'll be the Loki signature instead, though. That'll send upwards, so you have to be very careful because it leads into a great juggle state for the guitar player here in Sire, and light sending Sire off stage, and Keith now trying to make something happen here. But right now, it looks like the Sire game, and it looks like we're going to game 5, at least if this scoreline holds through.
The Keith with punish game just really isn't there anymore, especially when Sire has the guitars in his hands, those low recovery frames. Finally gets a stomp Cider, but it's from the middle of the stage. Even goes in off stage with that Cider, bouncing off the wall. It's going to disarm. Sire is going to recover up, and there's a down heavy, a successful down heavy. This time it's from Keith. Going to get the hit on the Sire, force him on the last stock. We have an orange Keith here. That inlight's going to give Sire a little bit of room. He's waiting on the weapon pickup.
Oh, and that's going to be a big signature whiff there but Keith will only get a GC sidelight on the hammer. D-Light down here, and here we go. The juggle continues. Nair coming in as well, and Light from Sire. D-Light into Sire will punish, and now Keith having to play flawlessly here. Sidelight gets punished with a sidelight into D-Light into Sire. The comes in, and the door signatures come in, and you slouch for a moment off stage, and Keith takes everything. A 3-piece off a sidelight. D-Light side air, and a side stick comes in, and it just KOs, and Keith moves forward into elimination side finals.
The second side sig that he found in basically the exact same spot, even a little bit further over on the edge. So I think he picked it up earlier, but that's 2 side sigs, 2 orange stocks, twice on the left side of Demon Island, extending off stage. Wow, Keith is going to take that one. Complete domination. It was looking like there was going to be a rally back from Sire. The Legend swap was a fantastic choice. He was doing it on both Scythe and Katars. Seemed like he really had a handle on also how to use the signature kit. So many of the things that Loki brings to the table, Sire was making great use of right out of the gate, but there towards the end, he still could not contend with that hammer. There wasn't as much done on the orb this time. The power has since shifted over onto that hammer after the game previously where he was doing more damage on the orb. Just complete mastery in that game coming out from Keith the Poo-Poo, really showing everything that Thor has in his kit.
A great showing there from Keith as he moves forward to face down Vortex in the elimination side of things, which means we have our podium set between Seijaro, Vortex, and Keith. We have seed number 1, seed number 3, and of course seed number 16 of the bracket with a chance to eliminate the reigning champion here at 3rd place. But before we see the conclusion of this top 3, we're going to be going to a short break, and then we'll be back with the rest of top 3 here in Southeast Asia for Spring Championships 1v1.
I'm rising up from the ground. Keep climbing till I reach the clouds.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Spring Singles Championship. We're here in Southeast Asia, and we are in the top tier of things. We have seed number 1 in the elimination side finals, facing down someone who's on their current Cinderella run in Vortex here, who's seed number 16 of the bracket. And in grand finals, we have Seijaru, seed number 3 of the event. Seed number 2 has already been eliminated from the bracket at 4th place, but we're here now with the conclusion of this event. We got a couple more sets, 2, potentially 3 sets remain. Sparky, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good about this one. Like, I'm glad to see Vortex again. It feels like it's been a very, very long time since I've seen Vortex doing well. The seed going into this one, seed 16, would lead you to believe that as well. And he's coming in. He's an old, long-time player. He's coming in on an old, long-time legend of Hattori. Like, it's been a really long time since we've seen hardly any Hattori whatsoever. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but in terms of like sword characters, there's so many better sword legends out there. In terms of spear legends, there are a lot better spear legends out there. So it seems like so many of the other legends in the game just outpace Hattori, or at least culturally in the way that players choose to play and pick their legends. But going into this one, we have Keith playing the Thor, who was hyper meta at one point, now going back over onto that, even though Orb has taken some hits recently. And then you have Vortex over on this Hattori. I'm liking this matchup, but I'm really afraid, if I'm a Vortex fan out there, I'm really afraid of that hammer coming out from Keith.
Yeah, I mean, the last time that Vortex was able to take a game on Keith was in 2021, at Autumn Championships 2021. So ever since then, Keith has had a pretty solid handling of this matchup in terms of the player matchup now. And we'll see Keith now swap over to the hammer here, Vortex without a weapon as well. And I don't think you're going to be able to do what you were doing on the sword versus Seijaru versus Keith. I think Keith is going to be like much more high octane and much more willing to push his disadvantage and his advantage grab pound coming in. Speaking of which, that recovery will actually work out, will not get interrupted by that weapon toss, but that got very scary very fast.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like, the way Vortex was playing against Seijaru was getting maybe a little bit impatient, and he was throwing out moves maybe he shouldn't have. Keith was also kind of doing the same thing with the punish game that Vortex was doing to Seijaru, except the rest of the time, like, high octane that you mentioned is exactly correct. He was putting out so much pressure. I think the speed at which Keith is playing is so much greater than what Seijaru was doing earlier. Look at his dodging in, his dashing out. He's able to, like, press advantage. He's able to move the needle forward and drive the car forward while also having that punish game in those moments as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just so much confidence coming out from Keith. And I feel like I've never seen Keith not confident, even when he's like playing random and kind of doing whatever he wants. Like, even in loss, he looks confident. So we'll see this now as Vortex is trying to make something happen and get some confidence of his own. We see a charge up of a signature. I'm not sure which one that was, but okay, another signature coming in there that will get interrupted with a side air that time. And Keith now looking to move forward here. Another sider comes out, another sider out of the corner. And this is what I was talking about.
Range!
Not only pushing his advantage state, but also pushing his disadvantage state, making this work by throwing out these siders out of disadvantage. No respect to for anything Vortex has. The Sphere hasn't done anything. And if I'm a scholar of the game, Keith is like, I saw you play Sphere versus Seijaru. It didn't do anything. So I might as well try to contest. D-Light and Sire will close out that stock, but not after taking many, many hits on the hammer.
So much of the success that Vortex was having was playing that more defensive with punish game. And Keith is able to play around with that because of what Seijaru wasn't able to do against that punish game. And he just has so much more aura. Confidence is the exact right way to call it. Look at him dashing around those platforms, really sticking to them, really putting Vortex on the back foot. Before, Vortex was playing defensively by choice. Now he's just on the back foot.
Deep Sider coming in, trying to call out a early recovery. Vortex will take the time to get some space back on stage. They'll try to make something happen here. I mean, as much as I love Keith and I love this Thor pick, I want to see a competitive set, but right now Keith just having control, and it's like a slow burn type of thing. We haven't seen any crazy extensions or crazy combos, but just enough damage gets built, and Thor, a legend with no troubles finding KOs. Between Hammer and Orb, there's many, many options. GC Sidelight will be the answer. Haymaker into the wall. Looks like a reversal, but recovery comes in anyway, and Keith will win the pinball exchange unarmed, and Keith 2 stocks to 1.
Back over onto the hammer. Those GCD lights on the sword coming out from Vortex were so successful earlier, and now he's not even able to throw them out and jump away before Keith comes in and hits him with a D-Light. The juggle game coming out from the spear, but nothing leading to a KO just yet. Here comes yet another hammer. Vortex is above Keith. He just jumps over that side signature, hits him with a side air. Another jumping side air, another D-Light, defensive D-Light coming out from Keith. But again, Vortex is not able to punish any of these whiff moves. Okay, there's the recovery. Gets over onto the wall. The neutral air is going to keep Vortex at bay over on the edge. Now back over onto the spear. Here comes the side air, sending over onto the edge. Keith just goes straight back onto the main stage. Doesn't even spend any time on the wall whatsoever. Vortex isn't able to find a single KO move. He's throwing out these side airs, but he gets punished. Oh my gosh, 4 unanswered hits. Almost gets the turnaround side air onto Vortex, but there's the on stage, or really above stage ground pound. There's the down air on the sword. See if he can regain some sort of control in this game. He's not so far behind, but it really feels like Keith is in the driver's seat. He's the pilot.
Sidelight side air down, and recovery will come in. Keith looking to continue this this damage, but Vortex now with the spear. I mean, this is a very big opportunity to show the spear pick is a good pick and make it happen versus Orb. I think this matchup can be very annoying for Orb spear, so I think it's good. Vortex is leading into it now, and Led will check. Keith trying to get something started with a sidelight. Will get punished with a pogo into a weapon toss. Vortex now closing forward with an air coming in, and that's the pogo that costed him the first stock of the set versus Sejaru, but it won't get punished that time.
And there was a moment in there where Keith clearly could have swapped over onto the hammer. There's a weapon spawn on the stage. Now he's going to swap over onto it. Seems like he wanted to see what he could get done with the orb. Now Vortex is disarmed. Jumping side air barely missing, and he's able to turn around before Vortex is able to respond off a whiff side air. See if he can clean this one up. Vortex, they're both unarmed. Who grabs the weapon first? It's going to be Keith. They were both almost completely on top of it. Second weapon goes to Keith. He's just going to wait it out. Oh, the jumping side air! He saw Vortex was going to stay over on the soft platform. He thought that was his island of safety, and it was just a little bit forward to see what Vortex does. Then he moves back a little bit further forward, inching just a little bit more to see what Vortex does. No movement from Vortex, and then out comes the jump side air.
Dude, that's a bad way to lose the game. Like that, you did not expect that one to happen or play out that way, but that side air just having enough to close out that stock. That is very, very funny from Keith there. And I mean, it's funny in the sense that you just don't expect it. It's a bit of a jump scare, but on the side of Vortex, it's like getting caught on your movement on the soft platform does not feel good. That's a universal pain of every single platform fighter ever. The genre is just pained by that, and there you see Vortex being the victim of it, or the next victim of it. And we see Vortex looks like he's swapping over to the Kaya here.
Yeah, this is another legend that he's played previously. I'm thinking a little bit back to Plum. Back in the Winter Championship, he was playing a lot of Kaya, playing also a lot of Wu Shang coming into this one. So hopefully he'll have some more defense on his side. The Dex is scary because he's taking out of Dex, putting it into Strength to go from 4 to 5, and his Dex is going from 4 to 3. So this could be really scary with how Keith is outputting damage on his hammer. I think we're in the business of a lot of disarms coming Vortex's way.
It might not be like Kynad mid-season 2 years ago where it's 8 hits for a stock, but it might be 8 hits to losing your weapon. It could even be closer to that, so you have to be very careful now. I think it might be less than that. Yeah, I think the like hits out. Yeah, that's going to be the first one. I'm not going to count every single one out, but I'll definitely keep a number. I'm going to count silently in my head, yeah. Yeah, the Nair's coming out as well. Keith looking to get these hits going, and that's going to be a swap over to a different weapon. The count resets. And Keith now just keeping this neutral state more of the same here. He's not really giving Vortex a way in. And I mean, this is interesting to me. It's like, okay, what didn't work that last game? The spear. What are we going to swap to? A legend that heavily relies on spear.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh my, that was 5 hits.
That was 6. It was 6.
6 hits? That's crazy. That's bad. That's wild. Really bad.
He's at 102 damage, and he got disarmed. That is so scary. But yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing that you were. We're going to swap over onto the spear when that was our less successful weapon coming out. The side air, the late delayed side air hitbox coming out. The final frames of that. This is so scary. You have so much defense, but if Keith is just able to disarm your weapon, force you onto unarmed, you're forced onto off weapons. His bow is not looking confident whatsoever, and he's going to take that stock. He's only halfway through his first.
It's kind of like when a team is like, okay, we don't know how to stop this guy. Let's play prevent defense and just like throwing out these like swat away hitboxes. Vortex is all of his damage is him kind of like side airing Keith away as Keith like closes in. And I feel like that is not a strategy that's going to be successful when your dexterity is this low. Like you just don't have the opportunity to keep this wall up and try to like slowly inch your way in, because this next hit might disarm you. Keep looking for that nair there. Vortex will get a side air, and Vortex looking to potentially swap over weapons. No, holding on to the spear once again. Nair coming in as well. And yeah, this is just looking tougher and tougher here. A lot of weapon tosses coming in from Vortex. These soft platforms definitely favoring him in the spear department, and I think the spear already showing a lot better here in this game number 2 there, as he's able to close out that stock with those juggles.
It still feels like the straight hit game is what Vortex is playing mostly so far. Now he has the bow, so you can find a little bit of momentum here. Sire goes the wrong direction. He was like stacked right on top. There's the ground pound as well. Unarmed, Keith is doing a weapon disadvantage. Here comes the hammer. Great weapon toss. That's going to shut down the side air, but there's stop side air, and he's disarmed just like that.
I mean, that's just 3 unarmed hits and 2 hammer hits, and you just don't have a weapon. You have to swap over back to the spear, which you're comfortable doing so. And Kaya, a legend that tends to like to swap between their weapons anyway, until you have to find those KOs, that is. But, man, it's just tough when it's not on your own terms. Nair coming in from Keith now, looking to cover this soft platform. D-Light in Decider will send Vortex very low. Keith, ground pound coming in, and yes, he does. I said it before he did it because I felt it. I was like, he's going to go for this ground pound. This is the intrusive thought every hammer player has. And hammer ground pound specifically is the best at doing that because it's so slow moving and active relative to the other ones. The other ones are very low. They're not very horizontal. They go very fast. Hammer, though, is just a big hulking hitbox, and that'll close out that stock as Keith up 2 stocks to 1.
Yeah, Vortex has no idea how to deal with those ground pounds because Keith then went over on the left side and Vortex went back on the main stage, grabbed the weapon, but then right after that they swapped. So Keith gave up stage control to do that ground pound, but then Vortex re-gave it up back. And then you saw Vortex over on the right side, then out comes another ground pound. That one hits, gets the KO as well. Vortex just has no idea what to do here. It seems like he's just drowning in everything that Keith is doing. He finds a straight hit here and there, but it's just a straight hit game. There's the recovery, weapon toss down, bonks on the head, and the game is over. And now Keith is up 2-0. And this weapon, or this legend swap, is not anything that he needs right now. This is not in the recipe for success whatsoever from Vortex.
122 damage on the spear dealt, 233 taken, so almost double in the deficit of the damage. Bow 196 to 261 taken, unarmed 13 to 24. So finding no success in any of the weapons in terms of keeping the damage out and taking less. On the other things, Keith, a full hammer game, 476 damage to 309 taken on hammer, 88% of the time equipped. Orb 0 dealt, 0 taken, just completely throwing the weapon away. And unarmed doing 42-22. I mean, this is just overall looking very, very bad. Very bad. There's not a lot you can do here on the Kaya, and we very clearly see a swap there.
Yeah, that 3-0 victory for Keith over Vortex just completely shut him down. Vortex having a really strong day. Again, we mentioned it several times coming into this one, seed 16. So well outplacing that, but he just ran into a brick wall against Vortex. He also struggled against Sageru as well. So hopefully he can take what he learned from this tournament and go back to the drawing board, learn a few more things, maybe get that spear a little bit more up to par if he wants to lead in with that Hattori.
Wait, that was 3 games.
And the bow. That was 3 games. It feels like it wasn't, but it was.
Games.
I did too. That's how quickly Keith just completely dismantled him.
Hattori, and then wait, no,
Hattori,
was that 2
Hattori,
games?
Kaya.
Oh, there was 2 Hattori games? Yeah. The second game, he dash jump side airs and he gets caught on the platform. It was last stock. 2 Hattori games, 1 Kaya game. It felt like they merged together into 1 game. Yeah, that's tough, man. I felt like that was just 2 games. I thought there was one more chance, but it looks like Keith will move forward there. I'm completely lost. But we're in grand finals now versus Seijaru, who looks to be hovering the Tesca pick.
Okay, let's see what he's got here on this. Because we saw the Val earlier, so we saw what the gauntlets were doing, but there was sort of the weaker of the 2 weapons. Definitely in the first set, he was really struggling with that a little bit against Vortex, and it was really focusing on the sword that gave him what he needed to get that 3-1 victory over Vortex, because that punish game coming out from Vortex was just so strong. I think Seijaru, he's been sitting here for a while, so the only set that we've seen him play on this Top 4 broadcast was in that Winners Finals against Vortex, so he's going to have to hit the ground running. Okay, dude. All right. So, dude, correction. That was only 2 games. I do too.
I hate everybody.
Tell him, bro. Tell him.
First things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. For real. Okay. Yes, second off. Yes. We cannot be gaslighting us like this because I was like, that was only 2 games. The scoreboard's right. It's not over. The set's not over. It was 2-0. Like, what are we doing? Come on with the GGs. Come on, man. I got gas.
Keith doesn't even know, dude. Pingu had to come in and say, y'all only played 2 games. And he's like, really? Question mark? Okay, because I was looking at the score, and I was like, it feels like it's only 2 games. But then I looked at the bracket. The bracket says 3-0. Vortex was already out. Seijaru was already in. I was like, surely, you know what? The players know better here for sure. We just happened to miss a game because it was so dominant. It was so quick. And, all right, so it was only 2-0. Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, it looks like. Well, I feel like that's obviously not a clause where it's like if you're like you accept the results of the game even though it's not true. That's like not how it works. But it's funny to think about. Yeah, that'd be lame. But it's funny to think about. Like you could successfully gaslight your opponent so hard that they lose hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in your currency, and because you just were like, yeah, it was a 3-0. So I think I know what happened in the chat. It was 1-0, and then someone asked what the score was, and then Keith was like, it's 2-0 lol, and then Sejaro was like, it was 3-0 GG's. And I think that like ended up becoming like this mesh where everyone like was like, oh, it's 2-0, now it's 3-0. But yeah, I was like, there were 2 games of Hattori. How did the other game end? I was like, I don't remember that one. So yeah, nonetheless, it looks like we're going to be seeing Vortex return back to his podium here and make something happen. And this could be a very, very fun a fun storyline if this ends up being a win for Vortex. If we get a reverse, not only a reverse 3-0, but he resurrected from losing the set incorrectly and then won the tournament. Yeah, why not? That'd be cool.
Or what will probably happen is this a whole bunch of build-up into getting destroyed by Keith again, and it's just a 3-0, and we just delayed it a little bit. But who knows, man? Who knows what will happen? Anything can happen at the Game Awards. It looks like we're going to get a Bryn from Vortex. So focusing on that spear, that's been the one through line throughout this entire set so far. From the Hattori onto the Kaya, now over onto the Bryn.
122 damage on the spear was the last score line we saw, and I just do not know. And I mean, the stat tool has some new stats here: 169 dashes to 95 dashes, 33 dodges to 49. So you're seeing Keith moving a lot more comfortably in that last game, and Kaya or Vortex playing Kaya with a lot more dodges, indicating he's kind of getting smothered and getting run down a little bit here. We'll see Vortex now on the spear. Keith on the orb. This is the worst matchup here for Orb in this in terms of Bryn here. I think Orb does definitely have a hard time versus Spear sometimes. We'll see if it matters though.
Oh, the D-Light. Vortex just waited that one out. He does it the side light. Doesn't go for any... He's not going for any side light reads. That is something that hasn't been like an important part of his gameplay, is like the side light, wait for the side light, D-Light, double D-Light into the side air. It's mostly just been... He hasn't even been throwing out that many side lights whatsoever. Like, we just saw one. There's the stop side light into the GC side stick from Keith. He still maintains stage control after that. There's the ground pound. He'll gladly give up stage control to go in for that ground pound, and Vortex still hasn't found out what to do after that other than just go back on the stage and just reset.
Yeah, and that's why you're able to get like early KOs, and that's why you're able to get like, you know, just dominate games, is because your opponent just is living in fear, does not punish these things that are very punishable. Hammer, you know, I was talking about it being a good thing that Hammers move slowly, but it makes it much more punishable. But Vortex is just so worried about not getting hit by it, he can't get a punish. That side will close out that stock. Very even game here though, as Vortex puts Keith into the red here, so it's nothing too crazy to make this comeback happen. But Keith now will weapon starve a little bit here and keep this Hammer online. A fresh one at that.
Now, I love that D-Sig that Vortex threw out. That was a really good D-Sig. I think most players would end up falling into that, but Keith had great reaction. He jumped up to get above it, but then realized it was still active and would take one more jump right above that to stay above it and not fall in it if he was trying to punish immediately with a down air. So it was great recognition from Keith after a great move from Vortex as well. Just barely the top side of that axe side air clipping him, and this is kind of the best that Vortex has done so far against Keith.
Yeah, you love to see this for sure, where he's just, you know, slowly making this comeback happen, and he's adapting, and I think it's good to see. We'll see the orb versus the axe, and Keith will get 2 side lights and a couple side airs as well, and be like, all right, I want the hammer now. We're going to look to close out these stocks kind of soon here. Vortex with the axe still online, cannot hit the unarmed Keith, as Keith is in full retreat mode as he's waiting for the weapon to spawn. Will find it, and once again a hammer. And Vortex, where are we going?
No.
The recovery, not able to make it back, hitting the fastball, not touching the wall. I think he wanted to hit the corner, get the refresh, jump back up, did not get the refresh, did not get the corner, did not jump back up. Vortex now on his last stock of the tournament, potentially for real this time.
I thought Keith was at least going to have to put something out to get that stock, probably get it regardless, but that's a little bit heartbreaking after like a solid game from Vortex so far, and now he's just taking a bunch of damage. He's already been lapped on this final stock from Keith, the ground pound, but he pulls out of it. A little bit of a bait there.
Yeah, I like that from Keith, going for that recovery, but not committing too hard and drifting into that pogo. He's kind of just like, okay, if you're going to go for an edge guard and close out the stock, it's going to be on my terms. You're going to have to drift into me. I throw out a recovery. We're coming now, and Vortex just like 1 or 2 hits away from losing and falling out of the tournament at 3rd place. The Cinderella run will end for seed number 16 as Keith returns and fights for his throne once again. Sire coming in, Vortex now with 1 more chance. It's a guess for game, and a recovery will be the answer for Keith as he's undeniable into grand finals. Vortex, seed number 16. A salute for his run. A little bit of shenanigans there with the score line, but nonetheless, the fate is the same, and the fate is sealed. Keith moving on in 3-0.
And that game was a serious 2-stop going the way of Keith. He's able to just whiff moves right in front of Vortex so much. The punish game was what, like, the most successful thing that Vortex was bringing to the table previously, especially on that Tori. His sword D-lights, all of a sudden you force him onto the Kaya, he's not able to find those D-lights anymore. You force him onto the Bryn, he's not able to find that punish game anymore. So much of the successful formula for Vortex was just shut down. First it was shut down by Seijaru as that set went on, and then it was just completely dismantled by Keith. Complete confidence throughout this entire set. I mean, I think Keith is going to win this tournament. Who sent him down?
I don't know. He's probably trolling, if I had to guess, like straight up. I don't think like he was playing as well as he probably needed to, and I think that's why he got sent down, because there's no way he looks this good and got sent to elimination side.
He got sent down early, so maybe it was Vortex.
That's the run
Vortex
back. It was
sent
Vortex.
it down.
Vortex 3-1.
Yeah, it was a 3-1. What happened in that set?
I have no idea, man. There's a weird things going on. Elijah beats Tiger as well, and then Elijah, seed number 21, beats Sphinx, which then lets Elijah lose to Vortex, and then Vortex is in winners finals. So there was 2 upsets happening where people outside of the top 8 made it into top 8, which then led into that winners finals. On the other side of things, you had Yunpyo losing to Penny, Penny losing to Sire, and then Sire beating, or Seijaru beating Sire. So that's not too big of an upset on that side of the bracket. But we had seed number 54 make it into top 32, beating Umace, seed number 6, to then face down Seijaru, where he'll get eliminated 3-0. And then Keith has been on a no-hitter ever since losing, I think. I don't think he's lost a single game here to 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. Keith 3-0ing Tiger in the process. That's seed number 5. 3-0ing Elijah, and then 3-0ing Tiger, and then 3-0ing Elijah, sorry to say that. And then, losing 1 game to Sire. So not quite a no-hitter, but he's been on an absolute tear in the elimination side of things.
Yeah, it's really surprising to see what he's doing now, and then look back in the bracket and see and wonder what must have happened earlier. But he's going into this one. Now we can talk about what we were previously talking about before we were so rudely interrupted by people not keeping count. It's Seijaru coming in with the Teska pick, hoping the gauntlets that were successful on the Val previously, but he doesn't want to deal with that sword. He wants to bring in the battle boots on this one. He wants to bring in the really strong signature kit that he was making use of on Val better and better throughout the set as it went on. He wants to bring everything that Teska brings to the table here against this Keith Thor.
So an interesting thing to note is Seijaru's gotten 4th at Autumn Championship 2025 and then Winter Championship. He's got 4th place as well. PR number 6 has only gotten 4th at officials, has never played Keith before. So this is the first time they're playing. He never makes it far enough at official tournaments to face down Keith. So this is a completely unique matchup. And I mean, I don't know. I think this is going to be a quick 6-0 for Keith, if I'm being completely honest. I think Keith is playing so well. But Seijaru, I mean, was swapping over the Teska. The Val signature kit was starting to work. Maybe we can find the same here. It's good to have signatures like Teska's because you have a way to punish every single one of Thor's whiff signatures and Thor light attack whiffs. You have so much flexibility on a character like Teska, and we'll see if that works out here as we see already the gauntlets causing a lot of problems for Keith here. We'll reverse it with a down air though, and the damage will remain relatively the same. The nair will come inside air coming in as well. Nair into GC and Light going for that big scoop and score potentially there. Will not find it.
So let's see if Seijaru can keep up the pressure before Keith kind of figures it out. That's the thing I'm worried about. It's Seijaru, if he's playing gauntlets, he really wants to get in close. Same thing with Boots as well. But he really wants to get in close, and all it takes is Keith being a few times on the wrong side of Seijaru when he commits to a move. And he's just right there ready to punish with something big, whether it's a hammer down air for the KO off the top like we just saw, or if it's just on the middle of the stage, grounded, he can hit a stomp side air, and all of a sudden that's huge damage coming out. He does get disarmed, so we're seeing a little bit of that low dex coming into play here, but he's going to pick up yet another hammer. Falling side air as well. I can't believe he picked that up so early. All the frames of that, and there you go. Commits with an in light. Keith is able to jump, turn around, get behind, and hit him.
Yeah, like that last stock where Keith was, he literally hit everything for like eight aerial attacks. Like Seijiro could just not play the game, and it seems like they're kind of both taking turns doing that to each other. But I think Hammer on Thor is definitely a little bit more worrisome for your opponent there. That Sire coming in as well, not finding that Sire at the end of the day. The kind of tricky offstage play now as a signature rips from Seijiro. It will not find its connection. The Sire will send offstage, and Keith now hovering, getting hit by a ground pound there, avoiding that second ground pound, and Seijiro won't get a KO here somehow, some way. Keith holding on, finally losing that stock. Getting punished for staying offstage that long. That was crazy.
Yeah, the extended offstage pressure that Seijiro was able to put out there, especially like just weaving those signatures in, so many signatures used over on that edge, and Keith just really couldn't hang with it, especially with the orb. Maybe if he had Hammer, things would be a little bit different, but definitely with the orb, it doesn't quite have that offstage potency. It has, of course, the long-range down air and the recovery to kind of cover that entire side of the stage, but it doesn't have those reversals. Wow. It doesn't have the pressure that Keith's Hammer does, as he just extends off stage, pushes to the right, hits the side air, and gets the KO, and we're all but even back in this game. Just barely getting through that GCP light from Seijiro.
Oh my goodness.
The vertical gain, recovery down air, all over the place.
And so much damage, putting Keith back in the conversation for this game, as Seijiro has been very, very flawless in these early damages, but Keith right now looking to push that momentum forward as he played a flawless second stock, or last stock, to force Seijiro off his second stock, I should say. Big open up there, no nair off that D-light, could have been a big opportunity. Sidelight into recovery, though. Seijiro with these gauntlets is looking lights out right now, looking to put the lights out of Keith's game number one. Last stock situation, D-light into the GC N-Sig there, unarmed. A Cider coming in, the Seijiro in a bad spot now. Down sig, side sig, a lot of signatures to worry about. Seijiro will just jump back to the stage. No signatures from Keith that time, and there comes in Sidelight to punish, but no recovery. And now it gets a little bit of a scramble. D-Light side air, no weapon. Now Keith looking to close out this edge guard. A ground pound comes in. Seijiro tries to reversal with the down air, but Keith dodged perfectly, and Seijiro forfeits the stock away, avoids the ground pound at the thinnest of margins, but going for that down air, trying to get a chase dodge up, and closing out that game, could not do so, and Keith closes out that game.
He avoided the ground pound, and I thought we were going to see the immediate Hammer recovery come out, because that pacing from Keith off stage really hasn't been present so much. It's always been like a threat in the back of whoever his opponent's mind is, going with the ground pound, and then like, what does he do after? But there hasn't been a lot of classic, I'm going to ground pound off stage. That puts me below you as you dodge, and then I'm going to reach up with the recovery, grab you, and send you down into that bottom blast zone. So one thing that's been working for Seijiro so far against the Hammer has been, like, he's much more aerial than I think some of Keith's other opponents have been today. So the downlight, Keith has to be a little bit more careful in case Seijiro happens to be a little bit above it, and Seijiro can just wait in the air and land with a falling neutral air and then string Keith after that. So that downlight, how low that downlight hits, like that one right there, the one right before the one that we just saw, he was a little bit too high for that one to hit, so he does have to be a little bit careful. Again, there's another time where the downlight is just not reaching high enough, but Keith can find them as well, right as we just saw. There's the weapon toss that goes off stage, back on stage, he lights in the side air, he takes apart the stock just like that, and Keith is back in control.
Back in control and pulling ahead here in the race. I mean, this is just looking harder and harder for Seijiro now as you lose that game and the momentum shifts to the favor of the reigning champion. And I mean, I don't even know what to say here. Keith could easily win this tournament off that momentum alone. Cider coming in for Seijiro now. Another downer coming to come in and scoop. Going for a tricky signature situation, trying to find that spiking hitbox, does not get it there. And Keith now holding the center stage control, and once again with a stock lead, able to put some gambles and risks here, getting hit with the sidelight there. Seijiro, no confidence to let that recovery fly. Keith doesn't even have to dodge at that time. At that time, the dodge will be red. Double GC or sidelight, GC sidelight, reading the dodge away from Keith into recovery. And Keith getting no extra credit there. And we're back for Seijiro.
You saw how that kind of last 20 to 25 seconds ended up going. It was a lot of Keith jumping around and playing a lot of vertical game. There weren't that many downlights compared to the rest of his gameplay today. It was like a lot of neutral airs. It was a lot of down airs as well, having to play that vertical gameplay because Seijiro is spending so much time in the air as Gauntlet players like to do. There he gets the stomp into the down air, reaching behind because that D-light hits so far stacked. Seijiro again spot dodging in the air. Keith deciding how he wants to go in. He's again another D-light he's going to whip. This time Seijiro got around him, and there's the ground pound, and that's an orange KO, a constant threat that Keith is able to put out.
That side light that's right at the ledge where you basically have a 50-50. Do you jump high into a side air or do you go low into a ground pound? And it feels like everybody's been picking that same option. And that dodge is exactly what it cost Keith, or I think it was Sire the set with that side sig. Do you remember that side sig? It's the same thing where now you're forcing, you can't go high because you're getting side air. You can't go low because you're getting ground pound. Now you're going to dodge in place and Keith's going to let a signature fly, a side signature fly. And it's very bad, very fast. And this could be the game over. Cider coming in though. Keith keeping himself, or sorry, Seijaro keeping
timing.
himself in the game with a side air. Yeah, that was big. Side light there. Waiting now, looking for this KO option. Recovery coming in as well. Keith now looking to pick up a weapon here. Seijaro is somewhat in a nice spot here. Nair will come in as well. Recovery, that will KO off the top, and Seijaro keeping himself in this game.
He's very close to being in red, though. It's very scary. The next weapon spawn going to be coming in. A jump neutral air is going to take away those iframes on spawn from Keith. It's back over onto the orb. See what he can do with this, or if he's just going to wait. He's going to throw that away. He's going to be disarmed. Hasn't thrown out a move yet. Didn't throw out a move unarmed until he picked up a hammer.
Gotta be so careful now. Side light into the corner, into a side zig, an option for Keith now. Many other KO options towards the ledge. It'll be a dash jump, a downer to punish Seijaro, jumping in the corner, trying to get some verticality to get himself out of the corner. Side light coming in there, a downer as well. Another scoop with the downer, doesn't find it, but the sider will connect. And Seijaro on the wall on the scoop, not enough to score, but very, very close to doing so. And the hammer will be primed as well in the event Seijaro somehow disarms Keith in the process. Recovery coming in.
It's all of these down airs coming out from Keith, and maybe if there's a little bit of extension to the left and right, he'll hit a side air as well. But really, there aren't a lot of D-lights coming in. He throws one out there, the rare D-light here towards the end, and he gets punished for it immediately. It's just the side air. The weapon toss goes up. The dodge is going to be here. The down air touches. No, it doesn't touch the corner. I thought he touched, but he didn't. And he didn't have enough to get back, and there's another victory for Keith as this train seemingly cannot stop. Those extended edgeguard situations that were working in the very beginning for Seijaro when he was weaving in those signatures, all of a sudden that just doesn't work anymore whatsoever. He's eating ground pounds off stage. He's eating recoveries off stage. There's pressure from Keith coming out. He can't even down air into the corner safely. He's not able to touch on that as well. I think we cannot go to the Demon Island. And it gets banned right away. It's the third ban after Shadow Scar Landing and Small Wasteland.
Yeah, and we go over to Small World's End, which is a slightly better, wall situation for sure. But the way Keith has been KOing you, you might not really have much to hold on to. D-Light side airs, a side sig towards the wall will KO so early now, especially. And Seijaro has been trying to find his KOs where he can, but it's been a lot of recoveries off the top on the battle boots, for example. Gauntlet recovery as well with the side light, GC side lights recovery, for example, as well. We'll see this now as we go into game number 3 of set number 1 of Grand Finals. And if the score holds again, it looks like Keith is going to be resetting the bracket with a quickness. Seijaro will try to rebuttal the best he can.
Now, Seijaro is going to have a little bit more room over on that wall. That's going to eliminate some of the threat. Okay, maybe it was a bait charging that. He just stayed high in the air, so the time it came out afterward for an in-light right away from Seijaro. Pulls out of that ground pound as well. He has more room to play with over here. Both players end up doing with that wall. They can play a little bit lower, so there's down airs from Keith. The D-lights right over the corner from Keith. The ground pounds especially. You have more time to react before those are coming in if you're Seijaro.
Sider comes in and Seijaro getting ushered off stage. The downer not enough to hit. Keith looks like he's pretty stubborn on this orb pick here. That almost KO'd there. No active input, of course. So you get as much knockback as possible, but you don't get a follow-up. And light coming off stage as well. And the weapon toss going for the GC breakdance. And it failed once before, but here it will. Keith will not be able to make it back. And if he did, he would have gotten hit by that GC breakdance nonetheless.
Seijaro doing a great job of just kind of playing over on that corner, maintaining stage control that way. Oh, I thought we were going to see the down air coming up from Keith. I don't think he expected Seijaro to be that close. There's the recovery. That's going to be the stock off the bottom just like that. Doesn't matter how big the sidewall is because Keith is able to extend deep into that push-off column and do just the classic hammer textbook 101. Wait for you to be above me, and here comes the hammer recovery.
Nair, GC end light. Keith now getting put into the blender here. Another down air, and yeah, this is the Vortex combos, or I guess the Vortex advantage states you can have as gauntlets for sure, where you're just putting someone through the blender. The down air's coming in now, but Keith does swat him away once successfully with that side air. Seijaro now have to find a different way in. These side airs have not been working. Side lights have been meeting him every single time, and that damage build, something you definitely cannot ignore. Another side air landing there, not enough to convert into a D-light, but still Keith winning out this damage battle, at least for the last 15 seconds, as Seijaro has not found an answer back. Finally, the side air will connect. Keith now on the wall. No ground pound, as you have to worry about hammer recovery to reversal that situation. Side light into weight, and that's going to be a dodge up and away, so I think Seijaro will put that into his memory bank and try to cash in the next time he hits a side light.
I do like that he didn't really pressure, once he got that turnaround side light, that he didn't pressure anything after with like an immediate recovery, because out comes the dodge from Keith, and all of a sudden like you're taking a down air or you're taking a recovery, and all of a sudden here comes the juggle state, and Keith has the option to turn it around with all of that hammer juggle state, but by not going for that recovery, Sager completely shuts that down. He's playing again so aerially. The downlights are just really not an option for Keith's hammer whatsoever. He's having to rely on like chip damage coming out from the side airs, which again, it's big damage coming out from each individual move, but he's not able to have any of the momentum from previous, and Seijaru is holding this corner so well. Here comes the Seijaru juggle state, but shut down by the ground pound from Keith's orb.
Yeah, very, very crucial that juggle stage is not allowed to continue with a big signature. It's a double ground pound, and Seijaru takes the game, and we do not go to a grand finals reset. It happens in the blink of an eye, but that's what Teska brings to the table. A signature you do not expect to lead into an edge guard, but a nice ground pound, a second one to follow, and we go to game 4 of set number 1.
Do we see a legend swap coming out? Okay, we do. I was wondering if we were going to see a legend swap coming out from Keith. He's relying so much on the hammer, also a little bit on the orb, but mostly on the hammer. But his anti-air potential for how aerially that Seijaru is playing, he needs to have better options. A guy like me, I would lean into the Cassidy. I would. He obviously hasn't prepared the Cassidy for this tournament, or that's what he would be going for. I would be looking at the Cassidy for that neutral signature, that lasso, reaching up, hitting that anti-air, potentially an axe for that D-light as an anti-air. Let's see what he's cooking up with this level 60 Bodvar. It could just be like a jump side air. He could lean into the GCD lights that we were seeing Vortex do so well earlier, but this is clearly a response to how aerially Seijaru is playing, because the hammer D-lights just aren't an option anymore.
You know, I think this swap, I think, very scary for Seijaru to deal with. I think the sword, I think it was Vortex, right, versus Seijaru that was finding so much success on the sword. I think Keith's Bodvar is very, very strong. I've seen him win many tournaments with his Bodvar pick, and I think Bodvar has been kind of coming into the meta recently as well, with, you know, the dexterity changes, so this could be very scary. But Seijaru, who was the first one to strike, Keith makes it back! He makes it back somehow! It just gets hit by all those moves, does not burn any resources in the attempt, so he's able to get as much verticality as he needs, and Seijaru now will have to contend once again and will not find an early stock. I thought that was over, but he makes it back.
Yeah, that was Keith just straight up not panicking in those moments, like taking multiple hits, even several when he's like off screen, and he gets away. Does he find the cleanup here? The ground pound! He doesn't get hit by the weapon toss because Seijaru was put in hit stun by the ground pound from Keith, and he's gonna turn it around like that. It was on the fingertips of Seijaru, and it's ripped away, and Keith is the one who comes up victorious after that, only taking 100 damage. There's the stop down air. That's crushing for sure. That is very crushing that you had a very early game. You had a way to close out that stock and kind of coast into a potential game 5 of set number 1. But now Keith, the one in the driver's seat once again, and all that momentum you built in the last game goes into Keith's favor. You like down air, and this is where Keith completely runs through games, is where he's able to have this extra stock lead. Seijaru now will look to contend with this hammer. Yeah, he respects it. He knows that the hammer recovery can come in. He knows that GC signatures can come in. Weapon tosses will interrupt, lead into recoveries. It's just so difficult to contest with Keith, who's so confident on this hammer. Cider comes in with put into the side leg. No follow up after the fact though. Seijaru now doesn't even go for that. You see Keith going for that recovery, anticipating when Seijaru would potentially throw out a ground pound, and a Nair will come in, and every single hit is just extra credit being racked up. That's going to be a nice conversion into a recovery though to close out that stock. But Seijaru is basically one D-like side air well placed away from losing the stock and getting forced on his last of this set potentially. There's the D-light into the recovery, not enough to KO off the top, even on World's End. The neutral air, even that one's not enough. One more neutral air might do it. A recovery will do it for sure. You see the attempt there from Keith. Is he just going to wait for the GC D-light that he needs? Okay, the neutral air. There's just a regular D-light on the ground. D-light into the recovery for the KO off the top. What does he stick with? It's going to be back on the hammer. The next weapon coming up for Seijaru is going to be the boots. He plays boots more grounded than he plays his gauntlets. Now swapping over, just going to completely deny the weapon. Coming out from Seijaru, there's a D-light ground pound. Most damage you can do off of that D-light. Back over onto the hammer. Complete weapon starving. Seijaru is starving. Stomp side light. Even goes for the side sig read in case Seijaru was a little bit too high on that wall.
And Seijaru really trying to make something happen here, but a D-light side air will be all that he gets to face down. The signature starts to fly for Keith here. D-light waiting, jump side air coming in for Seijaru. That's going to be another D-light side air, and this damage racking up is just more and more of the same for Seijaru. Now trying to make something happen here, but a D-light side air will not KO, but it'll put him in a bad spot, and the ground pound could meet him soon here. D-light, no, Keith just looking to pick up a weapon here. It'll be a sword. D-light recovery now on the table. D-light side air still, and light setting off stage. A side air can close out the game here. A down air, a ground pound, a recovery, anything really. Keith having all of the options in the world, and Sejaru having very, very few. GC sidelight to try to make it back up to the stage. Will do so, but will throw away his chances with that ground pound. He'll get a side air there. That signature almost connecting, but a side air from Keith will KO coast to coast. And we go to grand finals. Set number 2. The reset is here.
It's just so devastating if you're Sejaru and you have battle boots on, and Keith will like whiff a D-light and you'll find one hit. You'll find a side light and that's it, and then another D-light comes out and it's from Keith and he gets a stomp side air off of it. And so you're trading one hit on your battle boots for the stomp side air, the 2 hits from Keith's hammer, and you just can't contend with that. There is like no weapon in the game that can contend 1 for 2 like that when the person getting 2 hits is playing hammer. It's a deficit you can't deal with. You can't hit that hard, and so maybe in the attempt to hit that hard, we are now seeing a swap from Sejaru onto this Zol. He played Petra at the Winter Championship. I didn't happen to catch what level this Zol is, but hopefully this hard-hitting Zol, hopefully he has something with this cannon. Maybe the cannon can show that pressure that everybody who plays against a cannon in ranked like knows can come out from cannon.
Well, right now, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter what Legends want to. It's just like, yeah, okay, bro. Like, I'm just gonna do the same thing I'm doing anyway. It doesn't really matter the option there, but it's a nice 3-piece there. That's the pressure you're speaking about now. Nice little 3-piece and some damage build. This all has a lot of damage. Sejaru. And, of course, Keith only 3 games away from winning, and same could be said about Sejaru. That's just the nature of these tournaments. Like, that last set didn't actually matter for Sejaru. You have to look into this one with a fresh mind and a fresh perspective here. And the Axe Online will definitely do a good job versus Keith. We saw that in the Sire matchup versus the Roman Reigns. The Axe does a lot of damage to Keith, who uses a lot of verticality to try to weave in the way that he gets those approaches early on. A big signature is going to close out that stock, though. That's going to be a Hail Mary and a home run to close out that stock. Keith now 3 stocks to 2. Sejaru will have no troubles finding KOs with light attacks here, but it's just a matter of like if you could hit them. He has options, but the options sometimes hard to hit versus a player moving as much as Keith is right now.
And both of them moving so much. Neither player's found a hit in the past like 15 to 20 seconds. There's a stomp sidelight. He even goes for the turnaround neutral air read after that dodge. Keith fainting forward before moving back. There's the down air. Isn't able to pick up the ricochet off it. There's the sidelight again. He's still holding on to this stock. Next weapon coming in will be the cannon for Sejaru, so he has neutral air as a KO option. Recovery is a KO option. Charging up all 3 blasts! And Keith caught playing a little bit too high on this wall. We're not on World's End anymore. There's not a lot of room on that wall for you to go anywhere but into that hitbox there. Keith backing up, see if he can find the entry into this. Stomp sider, barely reaching all the way up as high as that stomp came.
All right, here we go. A sidelight comes in for Sejaru. He's trying to get a big open up there, and he'll get a 2-piece there and kind of waiting for Keith to get back to the stage, trying to see what he can make a shake. Sidelight waiting again. Sidelight coming in from Keith. This time in recovery comes in, meeting the ground pound where it starts, and another recovery will close out that stock as Sejaru has one opportunity to grab onto the wall. And I understand you're playing Cannon, and I understand Zol's great on this stage, but like it's the same thing. You're still going to get hit by recoveries. You're still going to get hit by those opportunities for hammers to punish you for being on a small wall. I just don't understand this stage pick here. Ground pound coming in as well. Keith now having to avoid that down signature. Won't fall for the same trap that he did in his gate stock number 1. Like, nope. And like that's
I don't think he thought it was going to hit. That's tough. Yeah. He has the neutral air as the true combo off of it. I don't think he thought it was going to hit it. Look at Keith! Extends off stage with the D-light into the recovery. Goes in with the ground pound. Yet another ground pound KO for Keith on that hammer. He's found so many of them today. 466 damage was all it took. You're not playing against a low defense legend. You're playing against a Zol. And he's able to do it in just a little bit over 155 average per stock. That's insane.
Yeah, that's going to be another ground pound KO and another win for the Potato Gang that is very, very active in chat right now. Shout out to you guys. Your boy, 2 games away from taking the tournament. If you're a Sejaru fan, though, you're definitely hoping that this Val swap can be the thing that works out. I mean, the Val was working versus Vortex. We didn't even get to see it versus Keith so far. So we'll see if this could happen here. The signature kit is going to be very good. We'll have to see versus this Bovar, because this Bovar looks kind of unstoppable. The hammer, once again, looking unstoppable.
Now we're back over on World's End, going to give a little bit more room on that wall, but Sejaru's already taken almost 50 damage. There's the down air. It's 50 after that down air. Finally picks up the weapon. It's sword v sword. Eventually, he was winning the sword mirrors against Vortex previously, but I don't know if he's going to have quite as good of luck here. There's the inlight again, sending over onto the edge. He's already shown one D-Sig so far. If we get more sword gameplay over on that corner, I would love to see that D-Sig used a little bit more coming out from Keith. I think he can place it really well and find some early KOs with that spike. Neutral air.
Disaster for Seijaru right now. Like, this is as bad as it can go in a sword mirror. D-Light and his side air will close out that stock, but when you're getting hit with that many downers and nairs, it means that your opponent has a complete read on your movement on the sword mirror. Like, when you're able to get those downers and nairs to get that much connection and that few whiffs, it's just so bad. And I definitely love to swap over to the gauntlets, trying to make a way to kind of break the mold, but Keith is going to hold on to the sword. I mean, Keith has won so many tournaments on Sword Legends, so even though the hammer's been kind of the story of this tournament, at least for his run well on stream, you still have to worry about the sword that's won so many in-region tournaments.
Oh, the weapon toss. It was a great dodge from Seijaru. He goes for the GC sidelight and then hits the recovery, but he moved over onto the right side, and Keith was just above him over on the left side. So he happened to guess wrong there. Does even up the stock. He hasn't taken too much damage. He's under 50 so far on the second stock, so he's not in a terrible spot whatsoever. There's the sidelight again. Another weight on this one. Doesn't go for a GC sidelight. Even goes for the D-light before really pressing that into a 4-piece, 5-piece, and the neutral signature. And the ground pound, he did that, and Keith wasn't able to find the recovery that he needed in that moment. All of a sudden taken away. Seijaru, huge explosion on second stock.
Yeah, that's going to be a big opportunity now for Seijaru. I was talking about how disastrous that first stock went on the sword, but these gauntlets now are going to be finding more success, and hopefully some success here in putting Keith on his last stock. And hopefully taking this game and evening up the stock or the set count. Recovery comes in now. Keith with the juggle suit trying to make something happen here. Cannot find a nair, and we'll just get another recovery as we continue to jump into it as Seijaru here with no platforms to land on, but a longer wall. I feel like you want to start playing towards the corner a little bit maybe, because these jumps are not working out. Another side air tries to come in to punish. Keith landing with the side air, disarming Seijaru in the process, in a bad spot to be in. No ground pound to come in. Finally does ground pound there. Seijaru with a ground pound of his own does not get enough force to continue with that edge guard. Going to be a side sig into the wall off a GC to get a little bit of verticality, but Keith will meet it with a nair once again, and we're looking for KO options once again. D-Light's side airs will be the stock, not quite. Keith closing in on the left side of the wall once again, picking up a hammer, looking for a D-Light side air, looking for really anything. A dash jump side air. The way that he's taken many stocks at this tournament will be the way he forces Seijaru on his last stock of game number 2 of set number 2 of Grand Finals.
Yeah, that was great recognition from Keith going with the dash jump side air, because he needed to cover so much territory and reach out so far given where Seijaru was. Just getting above that side signature from Seijaru, but almost an incredible attempt from Seijaru coming out there. But that side air was what he needed to KO. He wasn't able to do it with the D-Light, couldn't get in there and cover the space and have the range of the move in time to get the hit. So it's great recognition from Keith on the timing. Following side air, does the double chain dodge right after that, gets away from that inlight. D-Light into the side air from Seijaru. Can he clean this one up? Can he hold corner pressure? The weapon toss lets Keith get back.
D-Light into nair. That's not going to be enough to KO. That could have been a misinput potentially, but a side sig will close it out anyway there. I thought it was going to be a recovery. Did not find a recovery in nair instead, but a side sig will be able to punish Keith panicking and landing back in the corner anyway, and the score evens.
Now Seijaru on this legend swap, it's playing out really well for him so far. He's been doing great with those side signatures. He almost hit the gauntlet side sig, he hit the sword side sig, and obviously the gauntlet neutral signature that we saw earlier in the beginning. So it's working so far for him. World's End still is on the board. I don't think that favors like one player over the other, even though Seijaru did just get the victory on that stage. But I think the small wall stages absolutely favor Keith 100%. I would stay away from those as long as I possibly could. And I believe, yeah, we're going back to small World's End. Keith versus Seijaru. We're tied 1-1 in this reset.
There we go, an end light there, and he's picking up a sword. Seijaru back onto what he was doing well here. Recovery coming in, punishing Keith, trying to hover towards that wall. So he's looking pretty good here. I do have to say, like, a lot of confidence kind of coming back to Seijaru here, as Keith has been kind of snowballing those couple game wins in the set number 1. But now Seijaru will even up the score and looking better and better here. A weapon will be there, so we'll see if Seijaru or Keith wants to swap. Looks like they both kind of have the same idea. Keith will win out that swap exchange, though, and Seijaru without a weapon now. No conversion there with the D-Light into there, but the side air will meet anyway with a D-Light and an end light to send Seijaru in a bad spot, but just barely holding on to his dodge to avoid that D-Light. The side air will connect, but, I mean, this is looking pretty good for Keith, but Seijaru definitely has chances to potentially still win the stock first. Weapon toss. Sejaro makes it back with the recovery.
Man,
even
he just can't get a weapon. How long did he go without a weapon? It felt like forever. He had Keith in the orange, and like your KO potential when you're unarmed against someone with a weapon and they're in orange, it's next to nothing. You have to just find the luckiest thing in the world. Dodge up almost into that ground pound from Sejaro. The weapon toss going to bonk him on the head. Another bonk, and he doesn't have a dodge this time. He does get the additional jump after the bonk on the head, but his dodge was already on cooldown, so he's not able to get out of that one without losing his stock. Keith is back over onto the hammer, even throwing that weapon toss out, but a GCD light into the recovery from Sejaro gives him the room he needs to pick up the weapon. Here comes the sword. Keith disarming himself, but here comes the sword now from Keith. Sword v sword.
And light coming in here for Keith as he's now with a stock lead, looking to extend that lead. And I feel like Keith, okay, I was going to say either takes an extra stock and it's 3 stocks to 1, or he doesn't really get much damage, and Sejaro will make the latter true as that N-Sig will scoop and score. Down stick coming in. No punish from Keith as he tries to slide in with that D-Light, picking up a hammer now, though. Dash jump Cider, D-Light Cider. Here we go, the damage slowly building up. Sidelight waiting for the recovery, does not find it there. Cider coming in, Keith Cidering the wrong direction. The punish Sejaro still off stage. Cider coming in, down air as well. D-Light Cider, another Cider for Keith.
Oh no!
Cider, and Sejaro, the game has completely run away from you now, and the game is passing him by as a Cider comes in, and Sejaro getting
my gosh!
And Keith blows the game wide open. You give an inch, he takes a bio. You give a Cider, he takes 4, and a ground pound to close out that stock. And Keith now snuffing out the flame that Sejaro was slowly stoking off that last game win. Sejaro was still chances in this game. You don't want to count him out yet, but that side stick whiffing into a D-Light recovery. Keith now in a great spot, looking to scoop with that down air Cider to give him some space off the wall, but Keith willing to play with fire here as he has that extra stock and willing to potentially close out this set, or sorry, this game right here as Cider comes in again. Sejaro getting sent so far low, a signature to cover that immediate rise there, potential side stick coverage as well. Keith dodging that Cider, and oh no, he's in his head now. The dodges are coming through at perfect timing, dodging exactly when Sejaro is hitting these buttons, and Keith now looking like so poised to take this game. Sejaro with the side light there though, D-Light into Cider. Not enough to close out that stock, but still a great spot for Sejaro to potentially force a last stock situation.
There's the in-light. It's going to be the disarm. He dodged through the Cider from Sejaro, going to give him a little bit more room. The in-light sends him over on the left side of the stage. Now Sejaro is the one in control of the weapons, keeping Keith unarmed. The neutral air is going to give him enough room that he needs to dodge through to get through the recovery. Keith, he's at the weapon disadvantage. He's still pressing hard. He's trying to keep up this pressure. He's so close to getting this knockout and going up 2-1 in this set. He's now going to respawn in. Sejaro in the red. Weapon spot comes in. He has the iframes to be able to grab it for free. Potential hammer coming in from Keith. See if he can find like the one hit. Okay, spot dodge gets caught by the D-Sig. He's going for these down airs.
He's back in this game now. He could easily find a way to put Keith off stage. Keith with a hammer online is just looking for the Cider. That was the Cider he was looking for. Into a down stick. It doesn't spike, but it sends Keith in a bad spot. And Sejaro now with opportunities. You're looking to line something up. It's going to be an end light. Keith without a weapon. Sejaro going for a deep Cider. Keith will just take the time to make it back to the stage. He's going for a unarmed side light to try to keep him away and pick up a weapon safely. But he'll have a sword online, and a dodge comes through in center stage. Dash jump, turn around Cider. Sejaro in a bad spot. No ground pound. Keith just holding the stage, realizing the gravity of the situation. 2 exclamation points. No punish in the recovery. Not enough to KO Keith now. Trying to find this KO. Sejaro going for it with the weapon toss GC breakdance, but it does not connect to close out the game, and instead Keith jumps up with a side air and closes out that game. A nail biter. Sejaro almost had chances to come back in that game after Keith blew open this game and set stock number 2, but man, that was so close.
He really had such an impressive rally back there, especially at the end. You could see the way Keith was playing, that he understood how grave the situation was for him. He was just jumping and dashing around, hardly committing to any moves. He wasn't going for any GC D-lights or anything like that. Didn't want to burn his dodge because he knew how close he was to getting knocked out against Sejaro and how confidently Sejaro was playing in those moments. But Keith also knew in the back of his mind that he just needed that one hit. He just needed to add up maybe a little bit more damage. It was just under 200 by the time he hit that jump side air from the sword on this Bodvar pick, and we're going back over to Demon Island. I can't believe we left this stage open. What is Sejaro thinking? Surely he has something cooking, and it's looking a little bit rough for him so far, as he's going to take basically 50 damage right out of the gate and also lose second weapon.
He has Val sidestick cooking, I think. I think that might be the intention, is like, well, hammer ground pound's been hitting me and connecting. I'm going to go for my Val sidestick on sword and try to find a way to potentially close out stocks for Keith trying to recover low. Something that Keith's been very comfortable doing. So Sejaro, where are we going, brother? He makes it back to the stage with a D-light into Cider to punish Keith, going for that recovery a little bit too late. But that could have been very, very disastrous there.
I thought we were going to see a ground pound. I think it was a 50-50 whether he was going to go for the recovery or the ground pound in that moment. He happened to be below, so he was going to go for that recovery. Neutral air, the side light the wrong direction, gets punished with the side light, does hit the down air. In response, side stick over the corner. Okay, Sejaru finding the timing on how to punish that. There's the stop side air, but it is important. We do see the side stick coming out from Keith, and Sejaru gets over around it and punishes it. Keith was going for the D-sig before. I wonder if that side sig is just a bait to make Sejaru think, oh, you know how to punish this. I'm going to go for the side sig, and then all of a sudden it's a D-sig, which has a little bit different timing, and then Sejaru gets hit by it.
And Keith with a hammer online, and Sejaru with these dash jumps, center stage jump, side air, side light comes in as well. And I mean, he's just trying his best to get this stock here, but Keith, I mean, playing so patiently, finally getting punished for trying to push his advantage state a little bit too close to Sejaru. Side light there, side sig on the table here. Sejaru won't even go for it. He'll just go for like a tricky 4 string combination. None of that will hit, and Keith now in a great spot. Ground pound coming in a little bit too wishful, but when you're up a stock, you're willing to take those risks. And like coming off stage there, didn't find its connection once again, and dodging through that recovery, getting a nair for his troubles as well. And right now, Keith is just untouchable here. Sejaru has not found anything since that side air from coast to coast. Side light punishing the D-light. D-light into recovery will finally connect, and we go to 2 stocks all, but Sejaru is like 1 or 2 hits away from Keith taking him on his potential last stock of the tournament.
Yeah, I really thought when Sejaru had corner pressure over and really corner control, and Keith was just like throwing his weapon up, he was playing really high on the wall. I thought we were going to see that D-light coming out from Sejaru's sword over on the edge. I think he was just too scared of doing it. Again, hits the in-light, but out comes the dodge, and Keith is able to get through and hit the recovery. He's looking for another recovery potentially to get the KO off the top here. There's the side light. It's like 1 hit at a time from Sejaru. There's the D-light into the recovery. 1 for Sejaru, 2 from Keith. This time it's on the sword. D-light recovery for the KO off the top. Back over onto the hammer. Expect the stop side light coming through. It's just a jump side air. It's going to miss. There's a 3-piece from Sejaru, ending with that side stick and the side air. Potentially getting the stock here, and it is!
Not so simple. Game 5 now potentially on the horizon for this for these 2 players. Keith loses that stock earlier to Sejaru, getting a great combination here to side light recovery. Now Keith landing back down with the ground pound, shades of what he did on Thor with that orb. Another ground pound comes in, no punish with the side air there. And now the scramble happens as Keith looks to pick up another hammer. And like trying to punish Keith, going to hastily pick up the weapon. Keith will wait patiently, but an air will meet Keith as he goes for that recovery side air. Keith in a bad spot. Sejaru 1 hit away, 1 opportunity. The weapon pickup does not come through, and Sejaru does not punish it. Keith now.
Oh my gosh!
And we go to game 5. Sejaru clutches up and forces the last stock and wins that interaction as Keith doesn't pick up the hammer. Sejaru should have punished it with a ground pound, knowing that you cannot hammer recovery without a hammer. But there somehow he still comes up with it. I'm going to go to game 5, and it is not an easy win for anybody at anybody's tournament.
That offstage was so weird, and not even just because he didn't get the hammer regrab, but it was just so strange. And now Keith is leaving Demon Island open, and Sejaru is picking Demon Island. I'm still worried about this. I get that last game ended with an offstage engagement on Demon Island that was favorable for Sejaru. But still, I'm still worried because like Keith also got, I believe, a sword ground pound over on the right side as well. So at best, it went 1 for 1, even between these 2. And then obviously all of the past history. This didn't happen in a vacuum. All of the past history on the stage for a player like Keith. But we'll see what happens here in Game 5 of the bracket reset. Oh, barely. The backside of that side light ends up making contact. There's the D-light into the side air from Keith. He doesn't want to play the vertical game here. Wants to play the horizontal, potentially get a reset as Sejaru lands back on the main platform. Here comes the gauntlets out from Keith. You see him going to jump forward, then fade back, jump forward, then fade back, hoping Sejaru commits to a move and he can punish. That time he committed to a dodge. Here comes the in-light punish out from Keith.
Side light waiting there. Keith now having to dodge right through, and Sejaru, I mean, this damage build is something that you definitely have to worry about for Keith here, but Keith having the damage lead so far. Side air is going to send Sejaru off stage, looking for that D-light scoop. Will find that D-light into side air. Not enough to KO, but a bad spot for Sejaru here. And Keith will learn from his mistakes of past and just hold on to the stage. Sejaru in a bad spot. He puts himself into a terrible position as he burns so many jumps to make it back to the stage, and a side air will catch as he had only 1 option to jump back to the stage, and a bit of a movement blunder, and that's Demon Island taking your stock as its tax for going back to the stage.
Now we've seen Sejaru turn things around here in very similar situations. Literally today on this broadcast, the juggle's coming out. He's chasing high into the air, but he doesn't have any more options. Gonna strip the field, go over back onto the gauntlets, hoping to find maybe a gauntlet recovery. Second gauntlet recovery coming out, both of them missing. Side air gets punished with a jump side air from Keith. They're both just whiffing right behind each other. just that weapon toss. That's the only damage he's able to find in this moment. Keith now without a weapon. There's the spawn in the middle of the field. He's just got a raw side signature right on that weapon spawn because he knew Keith was going to go over to grab that hammer. He now denies that hammer from Keith. He's going to have to go back over onto the sword. The D-Sig as well calls out the spot dodge.
Okay, Keith with a down air there. Serjaru now with the weapon advantage is going to look to push his advantage state, and that he will do. Down air into the nair, gets a down air as well. Or sorry, end light into nair. The down air punishes Keith jumping back to the stage, but doesn't send off stage. Keith with the hammer online, though. Side light will anti-air. And this damage exchange here as Keith is the one in the deficit once again. Sidelight coming in there, going for that scoop with that down air. Just cannot find those connections when he's trying his best to do so. Trying to get these anti-airs as much as he can. Sejaru now getting to take to the skies very comfortably here, and a little bit of an air joust here as the side air comes in. A punish on that side light. Side air trying to punish the side air. D-light side air. Damage building once again for Keith. Downlight into side air again. Sejaru in a bad spot, having to hug the wall here. Burning a lot of jumps there, but no sweat beats come out. Side air again. Sejaru in a bad spot. Low recovery. Keith does not go for a ground pound that time. Side light. Wait. No punish with that nair. Recovery does come in though. And immediate exhausted recovery. Trying to catch Keith maybe slipping there. Does not find a D-light from Keith. No side light that time. Could have been a side light to get a bit more damage. But we're looking at KOs now as a D-light side air comes in. And that weapon toss will seal that stock. And Sejaru one stock away from winning his first ever official tournament.
Especially after last game, Keith's pacing has completely changed. Gone is that confidence that we saw earlier. He's not playing like completely unconfident, but gone is the confidence that we saw before, where he was able to put so much pressure out. There's the weapon toss that goes below to disarm him. Here comes the hammer. He's going to eat it down air. There's the neutral air. Doesn't send off screen just yet. GC Sides are going to give him some time in the air to hover, but Keith, being grounded, says you cannot land here. Hits the jump side air, gets the KO. Oh, PJ, this is getting really close. Weapon control almost saw the ground pound hit. We almost saw it against Sejaru. He's gonna hit this shit. There's no way, dude.
Keith is your Southeast Asia champion. He completes a full all-around calendar year, winning in 2025, winning then summer, autumn, winter, and once again spring. And when the lights became the brightest, when the moment became the largest, Sejaru was unable to do it. He mind games himself, and Keith wins the tournament.
That's exactly what I was talking about, man. Even if the previous game they traded 1-for-1 on the wall on Demon Island, that was the threat that I was worried about. Now, in that case, it did rely on Sejaru doing what he did over on the edge. That wasn't all Keith's doing in that moment, but man, that is a tough way to lose that game and the set after what Sejaru did in the rally. You and I both thought it was going to be a quick 6-0, and then they pushed it all the way to game 5, but in that fateful moment, that's such a brutal loss, and I'm sure Keith breathed a huge sigh of relief.
That's literally two stocks in game 5 where Sejaru messes up recovering back down from off stage because of the geometry of Demon Island burning resources. The first stock was a side air, the last stock was a ground pound, and I saw Keith going for that ground pound. I saw it whiff, and in my head I wasn't thinking Keith threw, I was thinking Sejaru is going to throw, because this moment is going to be too big for Sejaru. He's going to put himself back off stage, and it's just going to all go, it's going to go pear-shaped. It went pear-shaped. Yep. It went very bad. You lose the tournament in a blink of an eye. Low damage. You could have just went back to the stage. You could have just held it. You could have got a couple of D-lights, a couple of siders. You could have punished Keith and kept the game alive, kept yourself in the game. Instead, you try to get a little bit too crazy off stage, or maybe you just panicked because you're like, I wasn't expecting that, and now you keep yourself off stage, and while that's happening, Keith is able to just rally again. You burn all those resources, and the ground pound wins the tournament, and Keith has done it. He's won 5 in a row, winning springs of 2025, then summer, autumn, winters, and now springs again. So he is your entire year altogether. He is your 5-time back-to-back Southeast Asia champion for 1v1s.
It seemed going into this that he was unstoppable, and it was looking during this like he was going to continue to be unstoppable, and then we saw that moment of life from Sejaru towards the end, but then ultimately it's thrown away, and Keith continues his run. Like you said, it's going from 4 tournaments in a row to 5 tournaments in a row. I can't wait to see if he's able to continue that throughout the rest of this year, but that is not it. That is not all we have for the Spring Championship whatsoever. This weekend is just beginning, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. Right after this, we have Middle East, and then of course the rest of the weekend proceeds as usual with Europe on Saturday morning, followed by South America on Saturday afternoon, and the North America 1v1s on Sunday. And then we have the 2v2 weekend. Thank you so much for tuning into the Southeast Asian 1v1 portion of the Spring Championship. Keep your eyes peeled for the rest of this tournament. Thank you so much for joining me and PJ here. We'll see you later.
I'm rising up on the ground. Keep climbing till I reach the clouds.
They try to take me down, but know that I won't drown, I won't drown. Now that I'm facing it, I found out I'm stronger than ever now. This is something new, I can breathe it in. I can see it clear, where do I begin? This is not the end, but the very start. I can face this on my own. No, you can't break this heart. No, you can't break this heart.
is spring 2026. We're here for the championship once again. I'm with a brand new friend this time around. I got Walt. How are you?
Dude, I'm not 1 FPS.
I
This
know,
is
it's
crazy.
wild. I've never seen it
changed.
so high definition before.
Wow, it's a pleasure. We learned a lot about each other in this little call before going in here. I
did,
feel
we
like we're
did.
just two kindred spirits, you and I, and I'm so glad that we're doing this.
We shared our deepest, darkest secrets, our favorite mains of Brawlhalla, usually going in tandem. But I'm super excited. We were watching Southeast Asia duke it out. It was Sedru versus Keith. Love watching it. But I gotta say, Keith's run in Southeast Asia has been a little bit less dominant as things have gone on. I'm curious to see if that's just going to be Southeast Asia or if we're going to see a very similar line as we move over to Mena, because I gotta say, Pixel, dude, has completely dominated this region. I'm pretty sure since even before Brawlhalla was invented.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, we are up here in top 4 of this bracket. Should be a fun little time going on. Lifetime history 1-0 in Fixel's favor. I don't think tells the whole story too, like you just said, right? Like just so dominant in this region. So I don't know if necessarily the narrative is who can stand up to him, but this first matchup in upper finals will certainly be a good indicator of where we're headed.
Well, usually the only player that we've seen historically stand up to Fixel is, funny enough, his 2v2 teammate Poe. Not in the top 4 this time around. It's Comer who's in the lower bracket. He's a scary force to be reckoned with that you and I may potentially be seeing later. He was the grand finalist against Fixel back in Winter Champs. We could see that recreate again. Yellow Flash is also in the lower bracket. He's a consistent name. Marker is a known name. I believe he comes from Europe and has recently swapped over to Mena. I think there is a chance we could see what's it called? A rematch again in grand finals.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing it. Just trying to pull up some stats as well, but it looks like it is getting us the current head-to-head, which, yeah, I think that region switch probably suggests why there are no matches between these two players right now, or at least in recent memory. But yeah, I'm really interested in just seeing if the dominance from Fixel stands up going into this top 4. And then once again, maybe the region swap is what we need to really shake some things up in this bracket.
Yeah, I'm happy for it. I like seeing this cross-region play, new people going to new places. You know, in a way, it's like we're seeing the life story of these players. You know, a lot of times in other esports, you'll see players travel a lot, getting signed to organizations and going across the world. It's similar to Brawlhalla too. We get to see people's life journey, potentially moving to new places, and our stalling is over. We get to head into game number 1.
Yeah, I'm interested in this, right? Because I feel like so much of, at least from the last event that I attended at the studio, a lot of the conversation was like, okay, well, like certain legends are maybe like phasing out of the meta a little bit, just with like buffs to specific weapons. But this is looking like a 2025 matchup here. We get Mordex into Tesca. Let's see what happens in this game number 1.
3, 2.
Relatively new stage 2. You have yourself your floating platform directly in the middle. That's going to benefit Fixel a lot when it comes to sight. Now, hold on a second. You said the last time you were in the studio. Doesn't that mean, are we going to be seeing you later today in the studio?
I will be there in a few hours.
Hey.
So
No,
we'll
why
see.
are you casting in the airport, huh?
Well, look, you know, we do what we can. We needed to fill here, but we'll see. First little weapon spawn on the right side. Fixel's just going to jockey for position here, which I like. But yeah, no real reason for either player to press the issue here on that right side. Fixel gets the quick 3-piece. Recovery off the top, not going to happen. Exhaustion comes through, but still really strong advantage state so far. And I can, yeah, I mean, Keg, I can see why he's so good in this region.
Yeah, Fixel's a monster, dude. His neutral is on par, one of the best in the entire world. Catching the landing, though, as we say that. Great idealization coming out from Marker's side. Fixel, not really a lot of options on a stage like this, finally brings out that scythe. And while the gauntlets can be strong, long-range platforms like that make it easier to catch the or miss the landings, I should say. This should... He throws it away. He brings back the gauntlets into a recovery.
Okay, that was good. That was good. Does cover that one. Evens that one right back up. That was a really weird decision for the weapon toss there. You're going to go for the start, but you left yourself unarmed for a moment. Fixel does find the scythe marker. Signature doesn't find its mark. Okay, nice little extension, catches it. No, Fixel with turnaround.
Yeah, this ledge guard looking great from Marker's side. I'm curious though, Fixel hopefully this time keeps the scythe alive. Oh no, as I say that, he throws it away. He always uses it for a stop confirm. Okay, off stage, side air out.
Dodge. Oh, that was a gimme. GCD light just barely dodges through from Marker, makes it out alive. Fixel, really smooth sequence right there, finds the signature off the left side.
Pixel makes me so nervous with these weapon throws.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for a burn dodge most of the time, so I mean, at least from Fixel's perspective, he's getting what he wants, but he's just not closing the door on that second stock for the edge guard. Marker without a weapon. Now that weapon spawn was horribly bad for them in terms of just not being able to pick up those gauntlets. Goes for immediate recovery, but potentially losing this stock right here. Sweat beads online. This should be an easy pickup, but it's unarmed recovery. Doesn't find the KO, and Marker swings one off the right black zone as well. Oh my god, best of every world.
This is Marker taking the advantage state in both of these stocks so far. Fixel having to find a way to bring things back forwards. We had seen this before. Weapon throw up above, picks up gauntlets, recovery out. That was the end of Marker's first stock. And Fixel recreate history. So far, Marker playing it somewhat slower, has been playing neutral safe. But even then, okay, Sire's out, unarmed. Fixel, is there any way for Marker to get back on? It's gonna be a ground pound instead.
I'm assuming you want gauntlets for early damage, yeah, so there we go. Fixel makes this a one-stock conversation. Oh, doesn't pick up the weapon, just goes for an aerial by accident. That had to be an error.
Yeah, for sure. And that almost allowed Marker to pick up those gauntlets early. Oh, wow. What an ending there. Not catching the landings off of game for the final stock, I should say. Marker's looking pretty dang good to challenge Fixel.
Yeah, I mean, look, we kind of teed this one up as like, okay, a dominant player in the region. We're sitting in upper finals, right? Winner of this obviously gets to chilling brands for a while before the rest of top four catches up to them. But, you know, first game on the board is nothing to sneeze at. I think there were a couple unforced errors on Fixel's side if I had to be like super critical of that first game. But
And you
like,
should be.
Overall, like,
Big
this was a
magnifying
really
glass.
good showing from Marker.
Yeah, no, I've been really impressed with Marker thus far. We've been seeing so many players in a variety of different regions bring out the Tesca, find success with it. And all the advantages that I thought Fixel was going to use inside of Wasteland was off the scythe, dude. And the fact that he didn't utilize a lot of that moving platform was really surprising to me. It's going to be the same thing for Shadow Scar, man. 2 platforms up above. Should be good escape opportunities outside of gauntlets. Good for the DI input when it comes to scythe. Will Fixel use more of the scythe? I don't know, man.
See some reversal opportunities here off stage. Recovery doesn't find the mark. A little bit awkward here. And yeah, keep in mind the platform heights on this stage too. Like, it's a little bit weird to just get there without using more than one piece of your movement economy most of the time. So it's like an awkward landing spot. It's an awkward aggression spot. Looks like they're just jockeying for position around the edge. That sweat beads easy pickup for first strike. And Fixel looking as dominant as we expected it to be, at least for this stock.
I mean, we said that before too, but this is the first time Fixel has had the advantage inside of a match. It was Marker to take the first stock every time it was evened up.
See a little bit of unarmed action. Does pick up the gauntlets on the drive-by. Yeah, just a nair. Pass one through. How about a second one? GC to continue the string, and now we keep this one going. Yeah, this is great aggression from Fixel. All gravy.
Yeah, there we go. Weapon throw to extend that distance. Marker looking for a way in. He likes to take his time, but that's normally off of aerials on the battle boots. Side sig out, trying to catch the landing off of Fixel. Both spot dodge from each player.
I don't blame him, right? Like, you kind of need a big swing to at least just get this stock equalized back up. You're slowly bleeding away this second stock right here, and now Fixel with the disarm, that makes it even worse. Swings that one off the right side, but look at Marker's damage.
I know, there's a lot to make up now from Marker's side. He's got to figure out a way to play this safely, but still chip away against Fixel. Haven't seen the scythe just yet. Fixel, though, of course, loves to play this Mordex off of gauntlets. I guess almost exclusively now. No scythe to be seen. Recovery doesn't connect.
I'm seeing a lot of burn dodges. Let's see if Fixel delays the timing on that recovery. I mean, it might not even happen on this stock, right? Weapon toss comes through. Second one as well. You're really remixing this edge guard, buddy, but you don't find the stock just quite yet. Marker still hurt, getting a little bit of damage on the way out, most likely soon.
Yeah, we see a lot of premeditation coming up for Fixel, a lot of entries coming in from grounded play. Marker likes to take his time, play more reactionary, wait for an overextension from Fixel, and take whatever he can get to chip away that damage, but worked well for game number 1. Well, I gotta say, Fixel, this is a pretty strong stock lead.
It is, and I feel like Fixel's really not making a lot of player reads either, right? Like, it's just a lot of guaranteed damage. Even some of the edge guards aren't, like, super cleaned up in terms of, like, getting really early stocks. So this is just lots of good neutral, lots of good outplays so far. But Marker's got the offstage. Hang on.
Okay. Oh, read like a book. Marker loves to go for that small pause into a side sig, tries to catch Fixel again. Doesn't work well. Fixel learning his lesson, tries to catch the landing off of Marker. That doesn't work either. Dive, maybe? Off stage? Weapon throw doesn't work.
Oh, no! So smart from Marker, though. Everything was, like, pretty much correct, but just, like, a half beat off. Weapon throw, forced the high angle. You go for the recovery to pick up the stock, but just didn't quite connect there. Could be the death knell for Marker, but Fixel pushes the offstage. Not quite enough. Weapon toss closes it, and it's a slam dunk for game 2.
You can't even call that a stage advantage, though, for Fixel, because Marker, again, it's very similar to what we had seen in game 1. Wasteland and Shadow Scar, a little different, but not marginally so. The way Marker was having to play so retaliatory from the very beginning, Fixel catching those landings looked fantastic all throughout neutral.
Yeah, and this is what I mean too, right? Like there were a lot of burn dodges on Marker's side, and even with Fixel not confirming like sidelight recovery or anything along those lines, it was still just like, let me find my guaranteed damage in 2 or 3 hits and I'll get the stock eventually. And that's probably the reason why a player like Fixel has just been so far ahead or so like good in this region, because it's like, okay, even if I don't get there on the guaranteed stuff or on the not guaranteed stuff, I can just still get damage. I'll still find the stock eventually. I would expect as the set progresses, we see a little bit more of that tightened up. It was like there were probably like 3 or 4 burn dodges in a row for the sidelight impetus. So let's see if that gets caught onto, but we'll get there in a sec.
I like that word, impetus.
Thanks.
It reminds me of the meniscus, or like in the beaker tube.
You gotta always look at the bottom of the meniscus to measure your liquids. Let's go
Oh
into
yes,
small fortress.
you know me, I love my liquids. Let's see if Fixel those had plenty here. The water intake has to matter so much. And hey, you know what? If there's anything I've learned, water intake also means you need to have your electrolytes.
And I'm sure both players are sweating too. There's a lot of stuff going on here that probably
Wait a
requires
minute.
good hydration.
The sweat beads, burn dodges, Marker's been burning so much of them, it all makes sense. It's all
Let's see,
conspiracy.
I'm trying to really like break down what the preferred weapon matchup for Fixel would be, because I don't think we got a lot of gauntlets damage in the last game, and it looks like I do have stats now. Yeah, only 129 damage from the gauntlets, but it was equipped for about the same amount of time as the boots. So I would assume it's probably boots into like gauntlets is the matchup that both players want, but let's see how this one progresses.
There we go. Catching the side sig once again. Marker looking for an opportunity to catch that landing. No. Fixel, though, finding a way. His aura with the side air is good to bring things back. Marker, weapon throw does not connect. Fixel tries to find the engagement off of a weapon throw. Resets Marker. Weapon throw pickup, though. Gonna allow Marker to get something. Break dance is out. Fixel again takes that lead.
Dude, they're taking notes from each other. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure Marker was going for a down strong just in neutral, and then I was like, a little bit odd of a choice, like it gets pushed off stage, but then Fixel does the same exact thing to get the first stock.
Yeah, it's wild that Fixel can just find opportunities like that. Marker goes for the slide, does not get the timing off of Fixel, and then that's really been the story, or in your words, the impetus of Marker so far this set, is that a lot of really good ideas, things that should catch out Fixel as he loses his first stock, but always like half a beat off.
For sure. Okay, Gauntlet Mirror for a moment. Oh, okay. Reverse position. Really no action to be had quite yet. This is just going to be neutral jockeying for a minute. Oh, wow, no one wants to press a button.
Yeah, Fixel's really taking his time, and that's good showing of a competitor too, not overheating, not going for a flurry of attacks. A lot of patience from both of them.
Flips it. Okay, that time it's a jump out. And once again, I want to pay attention to specifically when Fixel has gauntlets online, because I feel like there's been a lot of movement burned from Marker's side when Fixel gets Marker put into these awkward positions, but they're not really converting into stocks. Like, we're seeing a lot of just raw edge guards, like the weapon toss closed out the previous game. Just kind of like individual neutral wins. Disarm means probably not going to see gauntlets, at least for a little bit.
Here we go, Fixel fishing for those stocks now. We talked about the patience of him, but unfortunately 2 missed SIGs in a row is not going to fare well. Usually leads to a weapon throw, does not connect either. Does force the reposition of Marker to go up into the air, aerial style, but a recovery does not connect Marker. Looking for that patience, catches the landing off of Fixel again. That's been the most consistent way of taking down Fixel stocks.
Because, like, dude, Marker hit the side light, and then you can just recovery after, but he waited for Fixel to land. Said, you know what, why don't I just read you so freaking hard?
It's really been the most consistent read against Fixel, too.
As the dust settles, though, we do see final stock going into this tiebreaker game. Lots of dodges again. Okay, this time connects the Nair.
Oh, clash after clash, man. Marker keeping his distance. He's expecting Fixel to bring out something new. Some sort of SIG, right? Maybe a side SIG?
I think so, yeah. Feel like it's a pretty fair assumption. Again, lots of burn dodges from Marker. Just can slow the roll down after getting that first hit. That disarm matters a lot. We force the high angle. It's a little bit of a weapon storm, and he just hits the ground with that signature. And Marker takes the lead in the set.
I'm loving this timing difference now from Marker's side. Like, we talked about how he was just slightly off each time, but finally now getting the proper timing, forcing Fixel to approach into him, I think has been a big game changer on these more flat stages. My question for you, Walt, is are we going to see a legend swap from Fixel?
I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like the gauntlets have really been serving him well. I guess if I had to guess, maybe a legend to get off Scythe, but I feel like you want to stay on gauntlets. Like, they're doing the most damage in your kit right now. It was 253 to 169. We're really not seeing a ton of like those extended strings that we came to know and love from like the Marky Moos of the world last year with that Mordex. So it's, you know, maybe we don't want like the active input weapon, and we want something that's just a little bit more guaranteed damage, something that we can just get, again, the 2 pieces that are more or less free to connect one hit and confirm a KO off of are great in these situations where you're usually winning a ton of neutral, right? So if there was going to be a weapon swap, I would imagine we go off Scythe, but it looks like he's locking in the Mordex again for game 4.
Yeah, I was inclined to agree too. Maybe we want to keep onto the gauntlets, guaranteed damage, just the way that Fixel likes to play. I'm thinking maybe a Val pick, but I don't think that's in the arsenal of Fixel. We haven't seen that a whole lot in his historical runs. We go to Western Air Temple instead, and a larger stage like this, I think, will be much tougher for a Marker who relies on smaller blast zones.
Yo, shoutouts to stage variety, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel like I have seen more stages in this single set for this region than I have in like the last month, which
Fine
is
by
great.
me.
I love it.
I know a bunch of new stages here. Finally, the chance to cast them. Very happy to see them.
Yeah, let's get into this one. So this is a set point for Marker to make it into grand finals, by the way, so could be pretty huge. We had set this one up as Fixel kind of the player to beat for this region, and Marker kind of an import from a different region, swapping over to here, posing a pretty big challenge so far.
Yeah, Fixel will have to adapt to, I believe, the European style of Marker, though. Great work again. Battle boots forcing Fixel to go into very certain positions down below. Flushed away. Gets back on. Sweat beads are out.
Gosh.
Fixel read like a book. Full stock lead for Marker.
Wow, yeah, perfectly executed, right? Like, knew exactly when the sweat beads were going to come up. You just have to make sure you get around the wall touch so that Fixel can't make it back to the stage. Brilliantly executed first stock.
Fixel, I mean, he's the one that's been relying on Aura to take these positions off of Marker, but now, again, full stock lead. Gauntlet v Gauntlet. It's a boxing match.
Okay, I like that he pulled recovery this time, and then
Great
just
side
squeezed
sig.
it on the landing. Really good.
Marker gets back on. Fixel doesn't go for the ledge grab. He's playing ultra safe.
Ooh, GC, or not GC, just regular D-Light, tries to convert it into something. Oh, micro spacing, misses the signature attempt, potentially. No, there's not even going to be one.
Tries to read the recovery. That doesn't work out well. Fixel again playing it so safe, but this just allows the Battle Boots wielder to chip away damage so much. This is exactly what Marker wants.
And this is so like paradoxical to the last couple of games that we were looking at. We do find the equalizer stock. Fixel's pretty hurt here on second, but the boots really, I don't even know if they were a huge factor in some of these previous games. Only like 180 damage in the previous one, but these strings have just been so unbelievable. There's the disarm off the right side. Sweat Beads online, threads the needle. Fixel makes it through, gets a gauntlet mirror as well, but just slams and covers both sides with the signature. Marker is looking poised to make it to grand finals.
Yeah, a position we haven't seen Fixel in a very long time. A lower bracket run is on the horizon. Fixel needs to play this stock very well to bring things potentially to a game 5. Off the ledge though, gauntlets no longer working. Snipe versus Battle Boots. Fixel, what are the chances? Gets back on, weapon throw out, extends the distance, throw from Marker, ledge guard once again. Fixel forced to get away, goes back to what he knows best, gauntlets, but it's Marker once again. Ledge guard chipping away damage, side sig is out. Fixel, little option, Sweat Beads are out, down air is abound. Fixel's gone. That's gonna be his grand finals run.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Like that whole string, like the question just keeps popping into my head. How do you even come back from this amount of momentum, this amount of aggression that we were seeing from Marker? What a great showing on that final game. And it really, like, for me, I'm like, oh, it was all gauntlets from both sides, right? But the boots put in the work. 332 damage out of that weapon from Marker, sitting pretty in grand finals. That was a good set to watch.
Absolutely, my friend. And now remember, Fixel did lose grand finals back in Winters 3-0 up against Comer. They're gonna have to fight against each other in the lower bracket for Fixel to have a chance to recreate history, go into the lower bracket. This time though, again, just double checking. Yeah, no, from the winner side. That's gonna be no from the lower side. So a position that we've seen Fixel in before. He's not unused to this, but these are all familiar faces that he's gone through before. Gonna up the Yellow Flash and Heavy to see who can survive in the lower bracket for a chance to maybe get their revenge.
Wow, yeah, so we see Fixel, one of the favorites for this region, fall into the lower bracket. It's gonna be, I believe, a semifinals match for our top 4 between, yeah, like you said, Yellow Flash and Heavy. Should be interesting, right? It's the import player from Europe is going to be hanging out in grand finals for this region, and then the region natives are going to have to fight it out for that second slot in grands.
And of course, Yellow Flash is going to be rocking the Tezca again. Look, if it's anything that we've seen from our last matchup,
it's pretty good.
Tezca's, Tezca's pretty good. He's all right. He's okay. But a Cassidy with longer range, I think this will accomplish what Fixel struggled with. The Scythe had the long range, Hammer, sure, but Blasters, I think, will be a big statement maker here, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in how the spacing of this match is going to play out, right? Like, so Blaster's is pretty nominally better, I would say. Hammer has been, like, consistently good, in my opinion, or at least, like, it's a safe enough weapon to go for most of the time. But if it looks like anything that we saw from Marker overwhelming players in the last set, then
well,
I'm a little bit nervous.
Heavy's already starting out with a GC neutral, brings out another neutral again, catching so much of Yellow Flash. And again, I'm thinking about the utilization of these top platforms. Players like Heavy should be making full use of it, catching nairs off of Yellow Flash. Once again, D-Light into a neutral. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, we will be seeing a ton of that. It is true pretty much always, right?
Again, dude. Oh my. Also, the drift coming out from Heavy is ridiculous, man. It looks like a mushroom demon leprechaun.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's see. So I think, especially with the Tezca being like a pretty aggressive pick where you want to be stacked on top of your opponent a lot of times, always going to be exhausted recovery would have certainly been the stock. This situation with the Cassie right here, especially with the hammer being pretty much your 100% of the time weapon, at least for this first stock and a half thereabouts, is really, really good in terms of matchup for heavy, right? We're getting a ton of stomp N6, like you pointed out. Stomp into basically anything else is going to be just your normal hammer stuff. The kid is really well positioned for this matchup, in my opinion.
Would you say Heavy's Cassidy is a hard counter against the Tesca?
I don't know if it's a hard counter, right? Because I think we have to see how this matchup goes, which is where I was a little bit more nervous, because it's like the spacing is just a little bit weird. If you get caught where Tesca likes to be, which is right on top of you, blasters are going to have a tough time getting around that. But I think Heavy's definitely in the driver's seat now, and that swap over for the NSIG is almost getting the stock. Next one was going to do it.
Yeah, I was imagining that we would see the blasters be the more prioritized weapon. Heavy could just bait out ledge guards quite a bit more, but when you're able to catch neutral SIGs as consistently as Heavy has been able to, there's no reason not to play the hammer.
For sure. Let's see if Yellow Flash can get some action started here to equalize this one off stage. Oh, wow, what a reversal.
Oh,
That could be stock right here. There's no movement.
Oh, Yellow Flash waking up. That's a great way of evening things up.
Yeah, really clean stock. Almost kind of made the bait a little too juicy for Heavy to try to go for the reversal situation, and kind of a gamble that Yellow Flash needed to get back into this game. I like it.
And look, as strong as the hammer can be for Heavy's matchup here, Yellow Flash, if that's the only weapon you've been facing up against at this level, you know how to bypass someone like this Cassidy by two stocks in. So now Heavy has a decision to make. Off stage, what a reversal! A great first game for Yellow Flash.
Wow, listen, I was really impressed with how Heavy was playing the early stages of this, but the damage, you could see it on the screen, man. Like, Yellow Flash really put in work on those last two stocks. Battle Boots, Edge Guards are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Caught it on Weapon Toss, I think 2 stocks in a row as well. That was so clean.
Just the reversals and playing off stage, Yellow Flash finally found a way in and took advantage of the fact that Heavy would be using I wouldn't say lackluster recoveries, but certainly not blaster recoveries either. We do get the swap to the Yumiko though, so having bow, that extra range, does provide a little bit more of an extra safe space than what the blasters have.
Yeah, I mean, similar in concept, right? Like you're picking the Yumiko for the signature kit, more or less. But I would expect that we get the hammer equipped for a vast majority of this one as well, right? So,
oh man. Dude, Hammer D-Sig against Tesca should be just combo city for Heavy, especially on a small blast zone map like this. That'll be huge.
Yeah, and so I mean, I want to see how this one works out, right? Because the on-stage was never really the problem for Heavy, in my opinion. And I think
offstage.
Like you're gonna win most of the on-stage interactions, or at least if you're playing it the same way that you were for stock 1. But let's see what happens on recoveries, because you pointed it out as well. Like maybe a couple resources weren't burned when they needed to be burned. Stocks were flying a little bit early, which got Yellow Flash that game. But this first strike was looking pretty good for Heavy once again.
And I mean, you have bow now, you have GC down sig from Heavy's hammer, a lot of horizontal recovery, which can be a struggle factor from Cassidy. Yellow Flash could take advantage of it, maybe, but his offstage play has been strong. But I think Heavy's confidence offstage on Yumiko should be stronger.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Scoops that one up, really making this weapon pickup a bit awkward for whoever can get first disarm.
Oh my. Heavy's doing such a great job just baiting out Yellow Flash's positioning. Forcing him to go, okay, man, sure. Okay, Heavy.
Weapon toss, immediate pickup, gravity cancel, imagination. Come on now, this is insane.
Right directly into the lanterns again. Wow. Heavy, a beast reborn. This is unbelievable.
I mean, I'm so impressed. Okay, it could have been like a really early cheesy stock, but of course Yellow Flash will pick that one up off recovery off the top. Gets one on the board, but it's a long road ahead.
All right, Yellow Flash without a weapon. This has to be his chance to rack up that damage. If there's any time to even it back up, it has to be before Heavy got the hammer, but unfortunately, only a little bit of extra credit there. Still a stock down.
Wait, this is insane.
What?
Unbelievable. I was gonna say, like, Heavy's doing the most to try
if you're Heavy, you cannot go off stage, dude.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna see a little bit of bow action. I would guess you want to go back to your hammer, but you take what you have right now. That, I think, didn't need to happen, if I'm going to be honest, but this is the situation we're in. It's last stock, and Heavy closed the door on it.
He was a little too much in the flow state there. Heavy looking for a nair. Only really realistically needs one more hit to end this game. High back up. Yellow Flash was not dominant in game one until that very last stock. Caught offstage potential against Heavy. Yellow Flash is trying to herd him over offstage. That doesn't work. We're a tied series.
Okay, I want to see the replay, because that, yeah, listen, we've all been there, guys. Sometimes you just get lost in it. You're like, I'm cooking.
Yeah.
I can't. How can I not? These first two stocks were unreal, though. Yeah, so slide charge, GC stomp, and then just you're in the absolute worst position imaginable to get reversal. But if it hits, oh man, it's chef's kiss. That's crazy.
And look, someone like Yumiko has a lot of options too. The fact that Yellow Flash is feeling confident to play off stage, playing confident, yes. Once the win condition to be playing off stage against Heavy really goes to show how strong this Tesca is.
We're heading over to the Western Air Temple for game number 3. Yellow Flash way downtown, touches the wall, but yeah, the Yumiko wants to prioritize the weapon pickup early. No need to try to go for early damage threshold reversal there.
Yellow Flash is playing a dangerous game. Tried to go for the weapon throw into a cheeky early KO against Heavy again. That doesn't work. Heavy seemingly has learned his lesson, but he plays on the ledge again and makes me very nervous. GC side light, excuse me, does not work out well. Lanterns are back. Heavy gets the setup, knocks him down, scoop and score. Wonderful first stock.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, and this is great too because the platforms both reset your movement economy for Heavy, and they also have really. Oh my God! I can't even finish a thought. Can you stop? Yellow Flash really stomping the yard on that one to equalize this right back up. But was gonna say with the hammer specifically, the arc of the wisps covers so much such that like you really have so much protection between the soft platform and your wisp from the neutral kit, the signature kit rather.
That's true, and it gives Yellow Flash a lot more options for the re-engage too. That was a big struggle on Small World's End where you realistically, those lanterns come down, you have two options. Wait out the lantern, spot dodge, and go for a dare, or just play from the side.
Yeah. Oh, chase dodge up. Tried to close that stock off the top last one. Wasn't quite going to happen. Stomp doesn't connect.
Okay.
Signature swings him around downtown. Tries to reverse the situation once again if you're Heavy. This is real clean so far. It's just a disarm. Try to make their way back in. Chase dodge forward into actually you're insane. Okay,
wow.
That's a reversed hit, and it's going to be Yellow Flash getting the better end of that exchange.
Dude, if Yellow Flash can keep playing like this, we're looking at maybe a Tesca v Tesca mirror in Grand Finals. Homie has been playing on a different level.
Yeah, and I mean, this is elimination semis to your point, right? So we have Pixel waiting in elimination finals for the winner of this necessary counter hit to make it back towards the stage.
Gosh, hit by a shooting star. Wonderful work. Heavy still has some work to do, though.
And not super hurt on this stock either, but we have seen the explosiveness of Tesca with the battle boots equipped, so anything could happen. Looks like Yumiko wants to set up the wall a little bit, though.
And Heavy's only been playing offstage when Yellow Flash directly forces the velocity of these hits offstage. Heavy, for the most part, has been strictly grounded. Sometimes for the ledge guard here, maybe trying to bait out Yellow Flash again. Heavy, that is not the position you want to be in. Go for the scoop. Gets one. Yellow Flash looking for GC down light.
That could be a critical turnaround. Yeah, priming the hammer and then now getting the bow back online. Now you're just completely disarmed. This is just end light. Pretty much any move will KO here at this point, but the dive kick doesn't quite connect. There's two weapons coming through. Wait, where are you going?
The read? Oh, the recovery is out. Heavy got a little too aggressive towards the end, was chasing the Tesca far too much. The damage difference between these two players, 590 for the Tesca and 404. The match was not found for Heavy.
Yeah, that last look at this. Oh my gosh, I mean, that was a really good heads-up play from Yellow Flash to know to drift to the left, right? Like, it's a very non-intuitive thing to be like, wow, I'm caught underneath, I'm gonna bonk my head on the stage, but I go to the left. I don't want to get dive kicked and basically reverse my stock for free. Makes a heavy miss right there, and then you can just close it with pretty much any move in the book that you have in the Teska's kit. So well done by Yellow Flash. It was really scary at the end, in my opinion, but still got there. And now it's going to be set point.
Okay, very big change coming up from Heavy's end. We had gone from Cassidy to the Yumiko. Now we have the Amethyst pick. Okay. Demon Island. I don't know how I feel about Canon Demon Island. I know a lot of players like running Zol into this stage. I think the verdict is still out. I think longer stages like this don't benefit high octane weapons like this, but we've also seen the Canon work wonders too. So as I say, I am justifying it in my own head. I think Battle Boots might be able to edge out Canon in this matchup, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm interested in just like the macro of the cannon as well, right? Because it'll always be good at doing strings, right? But I think it's gotten better at just getting into individual like pockets of damage now. So as a weapon, I think overall it's improved at least a little bit. But I don't see that much of it still, so...
It's a good momentum starter. If you can get a really nasty cannon string to start off a stock, it's a difference maker right away. But the Battle Boots, I think, have more consistency when it comes to Demon. Heavy, forced to go for consistent repositions. Both these players on what I assume will be their primary weapons for this matchup. They're out now from Heavy's side. Yellow Flash baiting out the ledge, waiting for the D-Sig to go on its merry way. And Yellow Flash end this first stock here.
I was going to say it's a little bit strange, like individual hit-wise, how you're going to find a KO. We saw Heavy going for a lot of Sares, a lot of signatures, just not getting individual hits that they needed to find this one. Could have just been the Nair to get the stock off the top, and there's the Sare that I just pointed out.
Yeah, I imagine Heavy's going to be fishing for Sares quite a bit as those the damage racks on for Yellow Flash, but it's the start and the middle parts of these stocks for Heavy that I'm most concerned about, and that's really where Yellow Flash can... Hold on. Hold on, okay, good reversal.
Situations are crazy.
That could have been scary.
And to have the wherewithal if you're Yellow Flash to be like, well, I think I can actually get a stock from this. Let's do it.
Yeah, it really goes to show his confidence still. Lower bracket run, has one game up above. Heavy's got to be sweating a little bit. If he can't win this match, he's out of the tournament.
That's right. It needs to be 2 in a row from Heavy to stay in this one. So a couple chances for Yellow Flash now with that crazy game 2 or game 3 rather end. Okay, just bonks him with the weapon toss, but now Heavy's caught without a weapon. Probably just going to dash jump over towards the other weapon spawn on the right side.
Oh, Heavy tried to fish for the side sig there. Yellow Flash not falling for it though. He's remaining aerial. He's looking for an opportunity to fish for those dares, and an initiation point catches the signature, and Heavy sends Yellow Flash away.
Sare connects. This is a really interesting spot. Okay. Now you want to take it a little bit slow because we have been seeing Yellow Flash just let a lot of signatures rock to try to catch landings from Heavy. And this is the weapon where you're going to really get the most out of it.
Struggling to find the opener though. Heavy needs to find extra credit here. As much damage as humanly possible. Have the goal. Once this stock, if it does get lost, Heavy only needs to find a Sare. It's not quite.
Last stock potentially for Heavy as we go in. Weapon spawned on the right side. It's going to be the non-cannon for this one, but we do see a little bit of action coming through as the cannon gets picked up. Once again, the signature just swipes that one away. We're going to game number 5.
Big damage difference here. We've been seeing Heavy consistently hit around the maybe high 300s, low 300s damage output. It's always been the Teska around the high 500s. Finally, we see a reversal here where this Amethyst pick with the higher damage output hits that high 500 mark.
Real nice, real nice. Oh, I missed it. Did they? Are we sticking with the Zol Amethyst?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Just caught the icon right at the end. Game 5, we are getting in there. I mean, it's the power of 9 power Zol, I would have to say, being able to pick up
That'll
stocks
do
in
it, man.
in that fashion.
Oh, this is going to be a more interesting stage, though. Cannon, I think, could benefit so much from the nairs off of these platforms, and recoveries, too, no less. Yellow Flash might have a more struggling time maneuvering around these soft platforms. Great ways of resetting his positioning and his dodges, yes, but because Yellow Flash loves to play aerially and needs to fish downwards, it might be a struggle to find consistency.
Yeah, I mean, this was Yellow Flash's counter pick too, so I'm kind of interested in going to a triplat, especially when you're playing so much of the grounded game. But let's get underway. I think importantly, you have to go over the top of that signature. It looks like Heavy's just presented that pretty much every time on the edge, so Yellow Flash correctly identifying that so far.
Yeah, Heavy loves to go for macro level space creation. Their down sig is out, and that doesn't work. Yellow Flash hits with a down recovery and steps. Down recovery, a ground bound instead. And that's Heavy now on the back heel. Okay. Wait, could this be another stock lost? Heavy has no way of getting on forwards. One last chance. No, what a stock loss. Yellow Flash says this tournament is over for you.
Dang, and what a lead right now. Yeah, I feel like you really identified it pretty early, Keg, just like calling out maybe the problems that we would be seeing from Yellow Flash on this stage. Counterpick, and that's probably going to be a huge one too.
Okay, ground pound.
It's working out for Yellow Flash right now. All things told, these platforms really haven't come into play so far. It's just been so much grounded game.
Yeah, but it's been fewer and far between for Heavy. He's been remaining on the stage, even with the cannon being that safety net in case he does get forced off by Yellow Flash. A ground pound's great, don't get me wrong, but right now, Heavy needs to rack up that damage quick.
Oh, tries to go off stage, doesn't quite connect it. That's a disarm. Off stage, high angle, does get covered, but can't quite connect with the aerial. Yellow Flash has those lethal boots online again.
Good dare.
Touching the wall. We're going to slow this one down a little bit. Yeah, always wait it out. It looks like that's going to be the option, but is this a reverse three-stock?
What a bait it could be. The fact that Heavy recognized that, yeah, Yellow Flash is waiting out my down sig. I'm going to go for the spot dodge and go for the reversal immediately off of him coming back onto the ledge is unbelievable.
Weapon toss, barely. Pretty negligible amount of stage positioning. Off stage, finds the trick.
Hold on now. Yellow Flash, is this the end? Is there a way back on?
Where are you going? Where is he going? He was trying to counter hit there. That's a disarm. Covers high angle. And just like that, a reverse three-stock from Heavy out of nowhere.
Oh my lord, Heavy, that's what we want to see. The Tesca worked wonders. The confidence was through all the way. The fact that the cannon at the very end gets some of the wildest KOs I have seen in a minute, man. Again, 2026 has been full of surprises, and this is one of them.
I gotta watch this last stock again. So this was disarm right here, and then I feel as though, and this wasn't like long-term conditioning or anything, but like the signature is just covering towards the edge. We're like, okay, I'm gonna go high every time, and then to just fully bet on like going really high at the end to be able to get that last KO. Wow, what a turnaround from Heavy. That was sick.
Yeah, that was wonderful. And if I'm anyone left in this tournament, Marker and Fixel, I am definitely keeping my eyes on this Amethyst to figure out how I can counter it. Of course, we've seen plenty of competitors in the past run the Amethyst. It's not an undefeatable legend. There are things that you can do, but with how gauntlet heavy we have seen Mena so far, it would be really tough for them.
That's right. Guys, we're going to take it to a quick break while 3 players in this bracket remain standing. Marker is sitting pretty in grand finals. In the lower finals, we have Fixel and Heavy facing off. In just a few minutes, you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back in a few.
About you, I'm wondering what you do. Wondering about you. I'm wondering what you do. You on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do when I'm not with you. You on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do when I'm not with you. I'm wondering what you do when you need someone to hold you. I'm on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do when I'm not with you. You on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do when I'm not with you. I'm wondering what you do when you need someone to hold you, hold you. I'm wondering what you do when you need someone to hold you, hold you, hold you. I'm wondering about you. I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering about you. I'm wondering what you do. Hey, you on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do. Hey, you on my mind, I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering what you do. And I'm not with you. Hey, 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 hey. I'm wondering about you. I'm wondering what you do. I'm wondering about you. I'm wondering what you do.
I'm rising up from the ground. Keep climbing till I reach the clouds.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Mena Region Spring Championship. We're here, like I said before, 3 players remaining. It's going to be Fixel and Heavy coming up next, and the winner of that will be facing off against Marker. I'm turned down for Walt, and I am joined by Keg. My buddy, how are you?
Hi, I'm your buddy. I'm doing pretty good. I'm very happy to be your buddy. You are my newfound best friend in the whole wide world, Walt.
Oh, thank you. That means so much. I love it. I
got
love
you,
it. I
man.
love it. Yeah, we've had some good sets already. These have been pretty exciting, and I feel like the action is going to keep on going because guess what? They're already striking stages, Keg. We're just gonna start. We don't even have to fill time at all. This is crazy.
No stall McGee's over here. We're heading straight into it. Fixel versus Heavy, who again had a lot of legend swaps in the last set before our break. We had seen the Cassidy into the Yumiko, and eventually then finding the Amethyst, which was the golden ticket for him to continue his lower bracket run. We do return back to the Cassidy though. I think this will find a lot more success against the Scythe now of Fixel, not having to worry about the battle boots of Yellow Flash anymore.
Yeah, I think I like this legend the most out of the 3.
Really?
If I had my personal pick, but it seemed like all of them were just generally doing the same thing, at least with their hammer of like covering arcs and things like that. But
Of you playing them or Heavy playing them?
I think of Heavy playing them. This
Okay,
makes
okay.
a lot of sense, just because of the Stomp Ensig situation is just too good to pass up, I think. But
I think
don't
he's
know.
been strong
I'm a
in all
Yumiko
3.
enjoyer through and through.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, his Yumiko was insane, dude. Some of the combos that we were seeing off of him was absolutely gnarly. Pixel, though, not missing a beat at all. Walt goes for the first stock.
Yeah, I feel like we can wax poetic about which hammer legend we want Heavy to pick as much as we want, but then Fixel will be like, you know, I feel like I'm just gonna win. So let's see if we can get this one. Recovery does even the stocks right back up. Slight damage lead in favor of Fixel as he comes off the respawn platform.
And Heavy once again fishing for those neutral sigs quite a bit. Pixel, known to adapt quite a bit in neutral as well. He's waiting out those signatures for an opportunity to maybe go for a Sire, possibly a D-Light for that engagement tool. Heavy's been playing the footsies very slow himself.
Yeah, and this is where it's a little bit interesting, right? Because in the previous set with Heavy, we saw a lot of stacking positions where the Stomp was just pretty much guaranteed to convert into that Ensig that we're just seeing right now. Now we're seeing a lot of aerial approaches in from Fixel where Heavy is almost reading the drift to try to get that Ensig just pretty much straight up. So it's an interesting change in commitment from Heavy.
Yeah, my fear though is that this neutral sig off of the Cassidy hammer is going to be the most readable sig tool that we have from his kit so far. Holy Pixel! What a recovery there. Heavy almost had gymnastics to come back onto the stage, but Pixel was set up and ready.
Yeah, it's such a crazy position because connecting the dive kick on that right side means you're given the chase dodge, so you can basically recover back for free, or you can hard commit to go for the reversal. I mean, it was a pretty crazy outcome. This should be an eventual stock with a recovery off blasters, or really just about anything. We're very close to Sire, but it's a moot point now as the disarm comes through. We're getting the hammer back online.
Tried to find the neutral again. Pixel's been remaining on the ground, though, evading that signature almost completely. We're probably gonna have to see another DC come out from Heavy here just to get rid of Pixel being on his back.
Yeah, this is really brutal now. Fixel has taken this all the way. Ensig will get the stock. That one was a gimme, but a lot of work cut out at this point as Fixel still has a fresh stock to play with.
155 now, 171. As I say that, every time he gets hit, 184 on Heavy. Literally anything in Fixel's kit will end this first game.
Yeah, so this could be just like side light. This could be recovery. It's really color by number if you're Heavy, so you just have to make sure you don't throw. But GC and light, not going to get too much more after that. And yeah, dip down into the recovery, perfectly executed. That one is going to close out game number 1 in favor of Fixel.
Yeah, really strong game 1 from Fixel's side. Not a dominant showcase from Fixel. Still did go down to the final stock. There are vulnerabilities, but we're heading straight into game 2, Walt. And as great as these clips are, the fact is we're skipping over the meat and potatoes of our last series story, and we're going straight to the Amethyst.
That's right. So we swapped this one out. We're cutting the line a little bit. And maybe, again, so what I was trying to get at before was, I think Cassidy and Yumiko, despite both being signature merchants in different ways, cover like pretty similar roles in terms of like, okay, I'm going to have like a general 45-degree angle of coverage with my signature kit. The Amethyst, maybe not as much, but we do get the swap into the power of Zol and the power of Cannon and the power of being able to string things together and get stock. So we're going to have to see a little bit more in terms of dodge reads from Heavy to be able to make this one across with this legend swap.
This stage choice coming out from Pixel is so interesting because Mishima Dojo was a winning stage from Heavy, but it took a lot of theatrics to get there, and I don't know if it was really in Heavy's control.
I mean, maybe he saw that set with that match with Yellow Flash, was like, you know, I kind of cooked here. Maybe I should probably run it back.
No, this was Fixel's choice. So Fixel might be thinking like, okay, well, I don't want to take Heavy to Small World's End. I know Heavy won this stage, but it was off of a lot of Yellow Flash mistakes and overheating. Maybe this is my chance to take it back Heavy from the sky. Holy.
Okay, gets the ground bounce. Not too much more. So we see Cannon versus Gauntlets coming up. This is just going to be waiting for a position. Wow, really critical miss there. That is a huge whiff punish that was blundered to lose first stock, unfortunately. So Heavy doesn't get the damage he's looking for. Has to play this one from behind. Already off stage too.
Another
Look at this
one.
Pixel. Way downtown. Okay, plenty of movement economy
Wait,
left.
it's still going. Beats out. Heavy recovery. Back onto the stage. No. Part
There's
3.
only like one jump, yeah.
Part 4. Pixel. Oh, Heavy finally gets back on stage. What could have been a very drowning situation.
I mean, this was, already a crazy stock. Exhausted recovery off the top would have certainly taken this one. It's a full stock lead now for Heavy. This was crazy. Tries to close that one out. Just going to be a big Sire off the left side. Throws the weapon away. Fortunate weapon spawn means you can just set up for the D-Sig like we saw right there.
Nair into a GC and light. Absolutely wonderful. Into a Nair. Holy, Pixel's on a different level. Lower bracket tear.
Hey, I mean, this is looking like a familiar sight to the Yellow Flash set, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, at this point, this was the chance for Heavy to make that reverse 3 stock, though. But Pixel is looking abominable in this matchup.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like the game plan from Pixel is just airtight, right? Like, there's no opening right now. Even if it's just a Sare to get the stock, a side light to get the stock, really just about any light attack to get the stock, you are talking about an enormous gap. And look, like it happened with Heavy in at the game 5 earlier, but I don't know if Pixel's dropping this one.
It would take a lot of mistakes from Fixel to drop this here, and I think for Heavy, it might have to be a reliance on playing off stage. Cannon is out though. Fixel relying much more on sight than we had seen in the upper bracket matchup, is waiting for that offstage play. Heavy fighting for his life to get back onto the stage. A weapon throw out. Slide charge signature does not work out in his favor, but a Nair sends Heavy far up. All it takes now, again, is one single hit, and that could be the end of things. Weapon throw is out, though. Fixel returns, retaliates in spades, and Heavy realizes, this is not going to happen. One last chance for Heavy.
Look, look at the damage differential, dude. 521 to just under 300. It was almost 2x Pixel on another level in that game number 2, and he's looking at match point already. Quick, fast, in a hurry.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the damage numbers, because that was the whole reason why Heavy swapped to the Amethyst in the first place.
Right.
Pesca was getting near 600 damage on Yellow Flash. The Yumiko, the Cassidy, both hovering around the 400 mark. But now Heavy on a 9 damage Legend is getting similar results. I think we're going to see a swap, man.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe we switch the order up and go Yumiko now, right?
Yeah,
because
I'm thinking
it
so.
seems like maybe you want some zone control. Like that last game, I chalk up to you kind of just got overwhelmed in a lot of spots. Stock 2 in particular was that really, really early edge guard that probably had you flustered for the rest of the game. I mean, listen, it wasn't unexpected after seeing the way Fixel just came out the gates, right? But
Yeah.
there has to be some type of change in order, whether it's gameplay or legend, to get one on the board and maybe try to get a reverse 3-0 rolling.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what the plan is here for Heavy. Has yet to lock in a Legend. Maybe we could see something new. I don't know if the Yumiko would be the answer, as much as I like Bow into Sight. But having the Nyx instead.
Yeah.
What year is this?
I mean, sure.
Is this 2016?
Okay. Listen, I really think that the edge that we were getting from Heavy was having Hammer as part of your weapon.
Yeah, I agree.
Weapon kit. So I'm not sure what to expect from this. I'm going to be completely honest.
I'm going to say this with all due respect. Well, did we see any axe at all in that last matchup with the Amethyst?
In the last match, no. It did
It's
37
not an
damage
appearance.
in the last game.
That was
so.
more than I thought it did. Yeah, I mean, reliance on the cannons there too, but with Fixel being so fast, it's, you gotta try something new.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. So maybe the Nyx is what we need in this situation, but it has to be a reverse 3-0. So definitely has his work cut out for him in the lower side of this bracket. It'll be a guaranteed 3rd place finish, but of course you want to make it into grands.
And relying on the blasters from the Cassidy, game 1 was not really the highlighting moment, I think, but maybe the Scythe Mirror could be the answer on a small stage like this. Neutral saying onto the slide is a great way to start things off. Hold on now.
DCB light, just go.
Perhaps
He
I
gets
spoke
the
too
wall
soon.
touch.
Pixel gets back on.
Yeah. Okay, a bit of a whiff punish. Only just gets single hit as a result. I mean, the Nyx is making some moves right now, behind in damage so far.
Very critical read there from Fixel, recognizing that Heavy's going to go for these very aggressive signatures, very risky ones there to slide charge neutral once again. Shades of the Cassidy returning back out. Fixel has to catch the landings, wait it out, does so, slide charge, neutral light, that's the first stock. 2 more left for Heavy, potentially in this tournament.
All right. Looking good so far. It's unarmed light attack, so it only promotes the edge guard. Doesn't really do too much more after that.
I'm not really a fan of the blasters here, Walt.
I'm not really
fair.
sure. Like, we're not getting a ton of damage from it. It seems like Scythe is definitely the preferred option so far, but we will see it for early damage thresholds here.
If it didn't work on the Cassidy, trying to get on that spacing against the Mordax, I don't know if the Nyx is going to be the answer either.
Sure,
Signatures are so slow, too.
Yeah, and you saw it right there, the blind spot, too, just from the Mordax being a little bit too close to the blaster's aerial attack means you don't get any damage from it.
Hey, look, if it's anything like my ranked games, one way to mitigate for that blind spot is going to be the down sig, but it's just so slow that someone like Fixel's going to take full advantage.
Okay, was that burn dodge? Okay, doesn't even matter there. That one is a burn dodge, and that one's going to be a stock, though. Okay, Fixel is just looking so poised to make it back into grands.
Yeah, this is looking like a lockout now. Fixel, again, like you said, wants to go on that revenge run. Heavy could have been a contender, a relatively newer name, and that. Oh no, Fixel has to get back to land. Heavy has an opportunity to get back on, maybe make things 1 stock each, but not a single one of these signatures has connected outside the very first one of this match.
Okay, weapon toss, no burn dodge, but the GC breakdance means it's a 1 stock situation. The Nyx trying to keep Heavy in this conversation, but for how long does Fixel want to keep talking? I'm not sure. It's going to be off stage here. Just with a couple, waits for it, tries to go for the GC extension, but doesn't quite get there. This is a recovery KO now, which is on the table. We saw the dip down into recovery in an earlier game as well. Just a matter of time, potentially. Yeah, it's just gonna get one right off the top, and Fixel, a clean 3-0, will march his way back into Grand Finals.
Wonderful work now. It's going to be Fixel versus Marker once again. Rematch abound between these two players. I gotta say, gotta give credit to Heavy. I think one of the flashier players we've seen in terms of just bringing out different legends. Pixel is on the opposite end of the spectrum, where you're flashy, you know exactly who you want to play as, and you make it work on a fundamental level.
For sure, for sure. So just like that, it is going to be our upper finals rematch coming back for grand finals here. Marker had a little bit of time off to maybe collect his thoughts, chill out for a bit,
play ranked,
hydrate, drink a little water, hang out, and now he's got to play a familiar foe in Fixel, someone who we said was kind of sitting at the top of this region for at least just like what we were thinking about when we kind of started up this broadcast. But Marker has taken one over him already, and he only needs one set out of two to win this tournament.
Gonna be curious to see now if Marker's been watching this matchup. There hasn't been a lot to give away how Mordex is going to break things open. We haven't really been given a big weakness for Fixel, especially when it's a clean 3-0.
Yeah. And we see, of course, yeah, Mordex Tezca is going to be the matchup for this grand finals. Should be a fun one. Should be a fun one. These matches have been good, Keg. I'm excited.
Yeah. And look, if you're a Marker, man, you're really not looking for any major changes on your own front. Rock the Tezca. That was a struggle for Fixel. Keep doing what you're doing in order to make things work. We could see maybe a clean 3-0, and this could be 2 championships in a row that Fixel just falls short in the semis. No, sorry, as a silver medalist.
All right, all right. We're getting underway. I'm sure there's predictions going on over in the chat. What are you thinking, man? I mean, this is always something that I bring up because I mean, you haven't gotten a lot of sleep either. Not to blow up your spot, but I'm sure this has been
reveal all my secrets, huh?
This has been. I'm just saying, it's been a fun day for you. You've had a lot of excitement over the last however many hours it's been.
Yeah, you know, my heart is mostly just energy drinks now, pure adrenaline coursing through my veins. And I mean, honestly, when I see Fixel, I'm pretty close to having a heart attack normally. You know, the energy output from him has just been unbelievable. We head over to Fortress of Lions for grand finals, game number 1. Very curious to see long platform again, a lot of offstage potential here. If I'm Fixel, do I want to go for the anti-heavy strat wall and play off stage against Marker?
It could be, yeah. I feel like from what we saw in the upper finals set, it was a lot of catching landings too, which is where Marker was just totally excelling. Okay, this is Sweat Beats. That was a crazy aggressive play. He's gonna get reversal off this? There's no way. Okay.
Yeah, Fixel, unfortunately, again, players are playing very carefully up against them. They know the Scythe could have had that DI input and just make things very tough for those revenge runs. But catching the landing once again, and light is out. Fixel gets back on stage. Not so much yet. A big boxing match once more. Shades of upper finals again, Wall. Really no changes the same exact way, man.
It's landings every time, man. You see this, right? Like, Fixel is just like, holy moly, the floor is lava. Everywhere I go, there's a signature looking at me, and it's Markers. I keep losing stocks from it.
I mean, what is the response now? Because it's been the same signatures each time from Marker's side. Fixel has to find a way to gain that space, and Gauntlets are not going to do it. I need to see more of this Scythe, dude.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's like maybe you're just going a little bit too aggressive, not just true resetting into neutral in certain positions. I'm going to watch a little bit more closely now from Marker's POV on how he's landing so many of these signatures, because it is resulting in a lot of damage and a lot of stocks.
I mean, I think the case in point is that Fixel's just an aggressive player. He doesn't like the reset neutral. He likes to keep re-engaging, find a new alternative angle just to, you mentioned it way back against, I think it was Heavy, just overwhelm your opponent. And Marker is not falling for that mental.
Oh, okay, off stage. This is weapon toss just to cover your back, so we do see the situation reversed for a moment. Nair will make it a 3-piece, can't quite connect with the second. Okay, that one worked out, just facing the wrong way.
There we go, weapon throw into the extension. Fixel absolutely needs whatever damage he can get, even if it's chip. Okay, there we go, that's huge, that's huge! Oh no! Oh no! A very rare misinput from Fixel.
I was gonna say the chase dodge up from Fixel allows you to just cover so much space on the offstage, but you burn so much of your movement. So what an unfortunate situation to sweat bead right under the edge of Small Fortress. Lose a stock a lot earlier than you expected to.
Surely the idea of Fixel was thinking like, okay, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. But Marker just had the perfect input to stay afloat.
Okay, back on stage now. I mean, this was kind of a gift from Marker. It was a very, very close match. This could be equalized with a recovery. We do find it.
73 damage, though, applied to Fixel. It's not nothing, but it's not a whole lot of damage either. Marco can easily capitalize and make this back up, but he's going to have to grab a weapon quick. Does get gauntlets once more. Has been a dominant weapon, forcing Fixel to play on a very rare, again, back heel where he wants to re-engage, but the consistent punishment from Marker has been astounding.
Oh, just a nair as a party starter. Isn't even going to be that much. Okay, ground pound. Tries to get a second. Not going to happen. Oh, going to be a ground pound of his own, but the false fall underneath. There's no way.
Fixel's playing this so scary, but he's been able to catch up and damage 140 now on Marker. This is his chance to bring it back home. Remember, Fixel not only has to win this series, but has to go for a bracket reset and take it back over against Marker again. Recovery is out. Fixel is changing history. Gets game 1.
Wow, I am shocked that Fixel pulled that one out of the bag. I really thought game 1 was Marker's for sure. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, explain yourself.
I look, like, you throw that stock away kind of earlier than you want, right? And it's like, don't look at me like that. I don't want to be perceived by you like this. Well, like, come on, man. It's like
we're
Marker's
besties, though.
Like so much momentum. We are besties, you're right. But
No, I
guess,
completely agree,
towards
man.
the back half of that game, we really didn't see the signatures catching landings in the way that we pointed it out for the first stock, right? And then also for the upper bracket set, it was kind of the difference maker for Marker winning this set. So maybe Fixel figured something out. Maybe Marker was a little bit more hesitant to pull the trigger on that one. Who can say? But you just got to go next.
I mean, I don't want to have just like a boil down analysis, right? But it really feels like it's just the scythe now. Fixel's been moving away from gauntlets. He has at least a little bit more range to work off of. Scythe is historically a unforgiving punish tool, especially with an up close legend like Teska. But then Fixel throws it away, man. That's what worries me about the most about his matchup.
So I do think that the gauntlets are securing most of the stocks. But the scythe, you're correct. Like the range advantage that you're getting, the offstage making this a little bit more scrappy. I think it's super important, right? So maybe we get a little bit more of an even balance between these two weapons for Fixel to kind of keep up this momentum. But it's going to have to happen on second stock.
I will say, though, that the scythe will force Marker to condition off stage. Not that he has much of a choice in the matter, but the gauntlets do have a lot more options when it comes to KO ability, especially for aerial, which Fixel loves to do. It's just finding those openings for consistency has been a struggle for Fixel in this matchup. Recovery was out, though. Marker resets neutral once again. Fixel playing a much more patient game, catching the landing off of Marker once more. Tries to go maybe for a signature startup, but again, battle boots, dude. They're just in your face, and they are chipping away everything that you have.
Yeah, and the side switch was just real clean from Marker. Gets a good amount of damage on the way out, and we do even this one back up at 2 stocks apiece. But I mean, we're following the same song and dance as before, man. It's like slightly lead to Marker, and let's see if the game can just blow wide open at a certain point.
It is the same beats. I love this ballet between the two. I'm expecting the tango to switch up and to be more offstage central at a certain point, especially with Fixel down 140 damage. You need to pull something out cheeky.
Sure. Okay, GC gets the party started. We push this one off stage. There is no disarm, importantly, which means you have the weapon toss available to you. There's the disarm now, and the recovery closes the door on that one real clean.
Full stock lead now. The reset of the neutral, Fixel playing more patiently, has not been working for him. We need to see now offstage play from Fixel to try to mitigate this, bring it back up. Sweat beads are out. Fixel on the ledge guard could work out well. Marker struggling to find a way back forwards. Had that recovery connected, we could have been looking at an even game.
Okay, weapon toss, swaps over to the gauntlets Nair. I think you're just looking for Nair into like burn dodge, try to get like sidelight into recovery again, because again, the upper bracket match, it was a lot of dodges from Marker that were just not being accounted for with the recoveries, but now Marker's kind of giving the punish to Fixel a little bit more, at least with the gauntlets.
Yeah, it feels like the gauntlet games have gone swung heavy from upper finals into Fixel's favor. Marker does it again. Overwhelmingly now in the Marker's favor. It has just been an absolute turnaround. Fixel's running out of options, man. I was gonna say, I think maybe we'll see a legend swap coming into this, but no, maintaining the Mordex yet again. There's no time replay, guy. We're going straight into the next game.
Yeah, I mean, Marker's gauntlets are just something else right now from what we've seen in these two sets. Like, the amount of damage they're dealing, the offstage pressure they're conducting, it's just so strong top to bottom, right? Like, and maybe you're getting some good matchups, maybe Fixel is giving you some good positioning, but I mean, it does come down to the player too, and Marker's really executing.
I'm just really curious now to see what Fixel has up his sleeve. The offstage play looks promising at the very least, but Marker keeps getting these very upper elevated recoveries that Fixel just cannot reach.
Okay, so this is what you pointed out before. I mean, the Scythe offstage game is nothing to sneeze at, right? But it's like, how is Fixel closing out these stocks?
There it is, that upper recovery. Fixel needs to find an answer to that, dude.
Oh, baby drip. No way Marker's counter hitting there, especially with the sweat beads on. You are a madman.
Yeah, Marker has absolutely no fear right now. Fixel clean for stock.
Yeah, this is a bit of a different note that we're seeing in this song, right? Like, a lot of the first two games were like Marker maintaining a gentle lead all the way through. This time, it's a pretty healthy stock advantage in favor of Fixel.
I'm wondering too if that was, I believe Marker started off with battle boots. I think here with gauntlets, we see a much slower Fixel. He can't have the dominance that he did before. No Scythe on his arsenal either to use. Fixel plays a very scary game with sweat beats for forced out, catches the landing, side sig once again. All right, we're coming back to the same song.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of coverage towards the right side there too, so want to pay attention to jump overs, want to pay attention to exactly how the edge guard recoveries are going to be, because it looks like Marker is just so keen on firing back at pretty much any opportunity. Here's the offstage, chase dodge aggressively towards it as well, but Marker's out of movement.
There we go, Fixel though, before Marker can catch the landing, or just barely doing so, gets the dare off of the scythe. Offstage again. Fixel has a game plan. His macro is to force Marker to never touch that ledge. Marker's not going to give him a choice, though. He says, I'm going to touch the ledge as much as I can. And then when that happens, grounded game is out. Force out something drastic like a weapon throw. Down sig does not work. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're hard reading at that point, but look at this coverage, right? It's Fixel just landing like roughly to the left or right, and then the signatures are just pointed in the right direction. You're finding stocks from it if you're Marker.
Now, here's the scary thing, Wall. If we see Marker land this next stock up against Fixel, that'll be grand finals point. There'll be one more game for Fixel to have a chance to bring it back for a bracket reset.
And the question presents itself, if we get there, of course, is if Fixel wants to swap off this Mordex, but don't want to count the chickens too soon. Do see a quick three-piece from Marker to get a little bit more damage on the board. I mean, really anything in Mordex's kit will find a KO at this point, so it's just a matter of how much damage you can mitigate before that happens.
Yeah, but Fixel's scared to bring out a signature now. You want to catch that landing off of Marker, but it has not nearly been as consistent as you would like. Fixel loves to go for recoveries in the air. Marker's aware of that, wants to ensure a very little grounded game as possible. Tries to catch the landing with a slide charge off the platform side sig. That doesn't work, but deep red now. Deeper red than I've ever seen. Fixel and Marker both duking it out, but there's a stock lead from Marker's side. Recovery is out. Recovery once again. Marker tries to find a second uppercut. That doesn't work. Recovery from Fixel instead. Sends him down to one. But Fixel, well, is on hardcore mode.
Yeah, and this is even unarmed right there, almost picked up the stock on the top blast zone. Fixel has to play this one real perfect at this point because, look, it's just going to be recovery. It's just going to be pretty much anything with the gauntlets. Next weapon is not gauntlets prime. Battle boots will find it, though, and it is tournament point, like you just said, Keg.
One more chance. Damage has closed up quite a bit more. A 40 damage difference between the two gauntlet wielders. I honestly think it might come down to which stage we go to next for potentially the final game of Mena.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at the weapon breakdown, I think You talked about the scythe stuff in game number 2, I'm pretty sure. So we did see a slight lean in damage towards scythe. Are we getting a
We are.
completely different swap? Okay, the Val.
Okay, I'm with this. You
Listen.
obtain the gauntlets. I think Gauntlet D-Sig is a fantastic option here, a good get-off-me tool against Marker. The passive that Fixel has off of the Val kit for anti-ledge guarding, where you could just scale the walls, I think will be instrumental for this game plan, where Fixel doesn't really have to change much of the macro.
Yeah, I feel like maybe part of the motivation too is like, I was saying before, the scythes really weren't closing out stocks that often, and you get a little bit more of a simplified kit with sword to just like get some easy pickup KOs that normally your gauntlets would be doing, right? So maybe you're just simplifying the game plan a little bit more, you're getting your guaranteed damage elsewhere, but look, it's the same beat for Marker, man, it don't matter.
Yeah, Fixel's got to get used to that sword again. Slightly slower speed, I believe, on the Val kit than the Mordex. You're chunkier, yes, but when you're up against battle boots, you need to have any sort of recovery speed, velocity options that you possibly can. Any science terms would help here for Fixel, but unfortunately, again, if you're not going to be using that signature kit, the question is, well, why swap then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the name of this, the real biggest theme of this set has come down to the quality of your gauntlets.
It's almost
right?
over, Walt.
Yeah,
There's one
it's
stock
3
left,
stocks to
man.
what? I mean, this is. I'm trying to speak in retrospect at this point because this is looking like Marker's tournament, right?
We're
But,
already in the analyst desk.
like the gauntlets did double damage in the previous game. The 29 damage that the boots did were that like 1 recovery at the end of game 4 to close it out for Marker. We do see 1 on the board for Fixel, so it's not completely out of the woods just yet. But look, Marker has an enormous runway to work with now.
I don't even think. Oh, hello.
Why are we there?
We're the real stars now, apparently, but no, it's Fixel and Marker once again still. Will there be an opportunity? We haven't seen a single signature from Fixel, at least not an impactful one just yet. There was a startup from Marker to bring out a Sig. That gets shut down by a Nair. Fixel finally getting these gauntlets going. Something's happening. Hey, Nair, once more, GC sidelight. Hold on. Wait, this is wonderful. I love Fixel cycling here. But again, that would have been an opportunity for a Gauntlet D-Sig. Not being shown.
And this is what I mean with the sword. Like, I mean, maybe there's some rationale here for Fixel where it's like you get a little bit more guaranteed Sares, you get some more guaranteed recoveries that could result in KOs. This is going to be a stock.
Okay.
It's a 1-stock situation. So, like I said, it's a long runway, but you could still drive down it for a while if you're Fixel.
Okay, 144 on Fixel. Again, hardcore mode. This is not going to be easy. Did you see how far that Sire took Fixel?
Yeah. Recovery.
Oh, but the recovery is out. That is it. An ending for sure. The Mordex unfortunately did not work out well for Fixel. 2 seasons in a row. 2026 marked by Fixel coming just barely close on that silver medal, not finding the gold that he did all of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I started to believe in this Val pick though. Like, it looked really clean towards the end, right? I think it was just like too much went wrong too quickly at the first
one more game
portion of the game, and you know, just kind of snowballed out of control.
Yeah, I liked it towards the end. Unfortunately, I thought we would see a little bit more signatures, even though they are slower than the Mordex. Could have been great as just a big abrasive wall up against the Tezca kit, but unfortunately, it didn't come out. In fact, yep, I'm looking at the stats. We had a single signature come out from Fixel there. I'm a little sad about that, but I think if we do return to the Val, say for summers, maybe mid-season, I think we could see a lot more impact with that pick.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting matchup too, right? Like the gauntlets were the name of the game for a lot of these sets that we got to watch, right? And I think at the end of the day, it looked like out of the top 4 that we had, Marker just had the highest quality of gauntlets, the shiniest, worth the most their weight in gold at the end of the day. And Marker is going to walk out with the W here for the Mena region.
Yeah, great work from Marker. Again, we're seeing a lot of shakeups compared to last year. I'm excited to see how this region plays out for the rest of this year. Truly, we don't know what to expect anymore, and I never know where to expect Walt next. Rumor on the street is that he may be there live in person, even more high definition than now tomorrow. But that's going to be us for today. Don't go anywhere, though. More amazing Brawlhalla action on this channel this entire weekend and next weekend.
Ain't no win but the top, I'm graded.
work again. Battlefields forcing Pixel to go into very certain positions down below. Flushed away. Gets back on. Big bypass someone like this Cassidy by Team Stocks in. So now Heavy has a decision to make on stage. What a reversal! Could this be another stock loss? Heavy has no way of getting out forward. One last chance. No, what a stock loss! They put the shot right there. There into a GC and like absolutely wonderful into a Nair. Holy, Pixel's on a different level. Absolutely needs whatever damage he can get, even if it's chipped. Okay, there we go. That's huge. That's huge. Oh,
Gotta keep my head to the sky, none better than
oh, that is it.
but the top I'm rated.
It's hard to do what you've never done before. So I needed to know what it's all for. You've been trying harder, rise up and show 'em as a mother and a daughter, sister, brother, son, and father. You've been trying harder, rise up and show 'em as a mother and a daughter, sister, brother, son, and